stuff you buy at the big box store. This is a concentrated, all-natural stain lifter that goes deep into the concrete or brick for superior cleaning. Simply pour it on the soiled area, let it dry, and then brush away. Start your cleanup at CabinoEnvironmental.com. The Cabino Environmental Response Team will come to your rescue across Northern Illinois and the Milwaukee area. And you can purchase the Cabino Oil Stain Remover online and have it shipped anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Can't wait? Cabino Oil Stain Remover is also now available at your local Rental Max.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads, beginning with the Stevenson inbound side right at DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Crews are clearing a crash on the exit ramp. They had just arrived at that, so we will let you know how that goes. On the Edens inbound side, no troubles. Going in on the Kennedy, it's wide open. In from O'Hare to downtown. And the Eisenhower, that looks good as you make your way from 390 into the post office. 55 southbound, stop and go, Weber to Renwick. On the Dan Ryan, delay-free conditions inbound trip. Skyway's fine, 57 and the Bishop Ford, both of those are in good shape. On DuSable Lakeshore Drive, no complaints. Eastbound I-80, that is tight Larkin to the Des Plaines River Bridge. That is due to road work in the left lane. Traffic is sponsored by Blindster.com. Blindster.com sells custom blinds for do-it-yourselfers. Unlike stock blinds offered at big box retailers, Blindster blinds are custom made for your windows and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive pro, do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
An early thunderstorm today, otherwise sun and clouds and breezy, high 87. Partly cloudy, less humid tonight, low 63. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, the high 81. And then a thunderstorm on Saturday, the high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Don't defund the police. Hire the police to protect your business. Rising crime has been crippling business owners in Illinois more and more in the past year. Blue Star Security can protect your most valuable asset, your business, to protect both you and your customers. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 500 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Barchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. Our team is exclusively state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals who provide the highest standards in security. We serve Fortune 500 companies, as well as small businesses and individuals, responding rapidly and seamlessly to each assignment. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLTD.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLTD.com.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
When the stock market struggles, when inflation is high, you need to start looking through the inventory of all your accounts and say, is every one of these investments working as hard as it could be? Because every month during high inflation that you waste, you're losing 8 or 9% a year.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
As a family-owned business, your complete satisfaction means the world to the McGrath Automotive Group. Everyone and everything at all of the locations are dedicated to making the McGrath experience your best experience. Whether you're looking to buy a new vehicle, in for service, or just taking a test drive, McGrath Automotive Group will always give you the personal attention you deserve. Visit one of their dealerships today in person or online at gomcgrath.com. Service, value, reputation. That's the power of McGrath.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim Attorney at Law is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. President Biden has been working to remake the U.S. economy, all in the name of climate change. The price of energy and everything else has skyrocketed. The U.S. is no longer energy independent. Gas stoves are under siege. We're being pushed toward expensive and inconvenient electric cars. New regulations aimed at air conditioners are on the way. Our quality of life is being eroded even as nothing is demanded from China, far and away the world's greatest polluter. Now, a United Nations report reveals that the world's temperatures haven't even risen for the past 15 years. And leaked documents seen by the Associated Press prove politicians urge scientists to cover up that very important fact. Global warming hysteria provides a convenient pretext for politicians to seize enormous amounts of power. We saw it during COVID. We shouldn't be so quick to give in.
Ever notice how most people never leave online reviews unless they're really mad? And they want the entire world to know how bad their experience was. Rick from Forever Remodeling here, and we average 4.8 stars on 144 Google reviews. I know what you're thinking. Sure, 132 people gave you 5 stars, but what about those 12 who didn't? Glad you asked. 3 of them are 1-star reviews from people we never even did business with. Most of the rest are 4-star reviews from people who loved us and said things like, "We are thrilled and would recommend Forever Remodeling to anyone." So why only 4 stars? One customer sums it up: "I only gave 4 stars because I never give 5. Fair enough. I guess. Google foreverremodeling.com and see for yourself. The reviews are all right there. We do kitchens, baths, basements, whole homes, and additions. Check us out at foreverremodeling.com or call 847-809-3355. That's foreverremodeling.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Within 3 days of starting it, I noticed a big difference in my energy level. Like I was able to take the dog for a walk to the mailbox. It made a tremendous difference in I don't take daily naps anymore. I can pin it down to 3 full days on, and on the 4th day, it was like I was a new person. Even my friends have noticed my energy level is different.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
The Daily Herald 2022 Best of the Fox winner for Best Financial Planner is Total Clarity Wealth Management. The 2022 Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Wealth Management Firm and Best Financial Planner is Total Clarity Wealth Management. Are you ready for a change? Choose Total Clarity Wealth Management. With a professional team of financial advisors and CPAs, they can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Their philosophy is built on solid relationships and trust, with access to expertise in tax planning strategies, 401k rollover services, estate planning, and more. They can help you be ready for anything.
Hi, this is Terry Murphy. The cornerstone of our practice has been to help clients stay focused on their goals throughout life's changes.
Get in touch with them at TotalClarityWealth.com. That's TotalClarityWealth.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. Awards are based on number of reader votes. This award is not representative of the views of clients and is not indicative of future performance or services.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois. Recently, I saved a woman from being robbed. Her husband had passed away and some of his friends had stopped by to buy his guns. Luckily for her, she heard my commercials and decided to call me before she sold them. I'm happy to report that she received at auction over 4 times the amount she had been offered. It's a simple, easy process. Donnelly Auction holds a federal firearms license and does all the necessary paperwork to sell your guns legally at auction. And we offer free pickup. So call me before you sell them outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your guns and military collections, so call me today at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Summer is here, which is the ideal time to brighten things up around the house and let the sunshine in. Make the rooms in your house that appear small, dark, or dingy look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors. Our highly skilled craftsmen can enlarge openings if your space allows. For decades, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Marvin replacement windows and doors can also bring your backyard right into your living space. Ask us about connecting the inside to the outside. When you welcome a Woodland sales expert into your home, you'll get a product expert, a design consultant, a budget hawk, and someone who has your best interest in mind. Our professional services, along with the best products and installation, are why we are proud of our great online reviews. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right. Unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv.
What if being in recovery from a mental or substance use disorder was something we proudly showed the world? Millions of people are in recovery, sharing hope and support with family, friends, and community. Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It's not just big businesses like Citadel or Tyson Foods or Boeing that leave Chicago. Of course, they're not closing when they leave. They're just heading for greener pastures. Cultural institutions, which I would count restaurants among them, change the landscape of the city, too, when they disappear. I didn't know this until I read this in the NPR Times. Bella Note's closing.
Really?
Bella Note on 1374 West Grand. The Aguirre family decided to close the restaurant, which is a great joint, about, just a few weeks before its 28th anniversary. Now, they're not just disappearing. They're moving to Downers Grove. Ramon Aguirre, who owns the restaurant with his brother Victor and father, we feel like a failure, especially for my employees. He said of Downers Grove, they welcomed us with open arms, gave us a lot of rent and tax incentives. Oh, no, it's a big joint. There I can pick up the phone and talk to the mayor and the leaders of the chambers of commerce. Here I can't even get the alderman on the phone. Our sign permit expired in November. It's $75 for the permit, but the city fined us $1,000. Same for our awning permit. The light on the exit light was out. Instead of letting us repair it on the spot, they wrote us up and gave us a fine. We have $21,000 in fines from the city. He goes on to say about the environment on West Grand where they're located.
Yeah, it's a shooting gallery after midnight.
Among the insurmountable hurdles is crime in Chicago, poor records by the Blackhawks and Bulls that no longer bring fans for pregame meals before heading to the UC, high third-party delivery fees, and a city council that's no longer friendly to independent businesses, said Aguirre. No one comes to the city from the suburbs anymore. Crime is out of control, gun violence, carjackings, you name it. How can you take your family out to eat if you're worried something's going to happen? Everything is a money grab. So that's one key point. Two, everything is a money grab. Speed cameras, red light tickets, valet parking, it all adds up. DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats have killed us. They were charging 30% for deliveries. What happened to the city capping it? Not that I'm necessarily supportive of that policy, but it's just he's looking around everywhere he turns, somebody's in his pocket. It makes it hard to run a business, and now you're driving customers away because you can't abide the primary function of government, which is public safety.
And he can't even get a hold of his alderman.
Right.
Won't call him back.
The past month, he said the restaurant was down to 8 full-time employees from 30, making between $10,000 and $12,000 a week, down from 25 to 30 when it was busy. And $10,000 to $12,000 a week. Always say, oh, that's $500,000 a year. Well, yeah, but there's 3 guys who own it. There are all these other sorts of costs that you have to net out, right?
Well, they're not alone. Owen and Engine. Remember that British pub that closed after 14 years? Radio Room closed after 2 years on River North.
Bandera never reopened after the COVID.
Nope. John's Pizzeria. Open for almost 70 years. They're closed.
I mean, and
Pearl Southern Comfort closed.
You start to say this stuff and you think like, oh, like this is just, you're just aging and, you're remembering the stuff that used to be there. And it's just a function of aging. And of course there's going to be turnover, particularly in the restaurant industry. And I get it. There's certainly something to that. I remember I used to love that joint at this corner, and then it got replaced by a different joint. I get that.
But they're not being replaced.
But
I mean, who's going to go into that space?
Well, some of them are being replaced, but it's also what they're saying about why they're closing or leaving. And, so it's not just, it's fat cats that just want to live in a zero income tax state. They're talking about sort of the real world problems of running a small independent business in the city of Chicago, and for that matter, Chicagoland, and for that matter, the state of Illinois.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA. That a quick comment. Jerry's Grill's closed. I mean, so many closed over the past 3 years.
The interesting thing, too, here is like any good business, any good organization, it attracts talent, it develops talent, and talent goes on to do interesting things. This was one of the things about the Bellanotte story I really liked. Several employees of the Old Man went on to open their own restaurants, including Volare, David Flom from Chicago Cut, Nacho Bautista, and Victor Caseta, Gio's Cafe and Deli. So then you have people that you mentored that are going on to open and add more to the tapestry of the city by opening their own great eateries. Aguirre saying that he's excited to begin a new chapter in Downers Grove. But he says, in terms of predicting what the future, at least in the near term, holds for Chicago, the future he's experiencing, the mom and pop single operator is going to be non-existent in the city. It's sad. It's not the city I grew up with. When I was a kid, there was nothing more I wanted to do than come to the city on a Thursday night. You'd come down and you'd feel safe, go out to dinner, and they'll go to a cabaret or something before going home. Not anymore. Right. Not anymore. And you can listen to the politicians and the Chicago Press Corps, their comm shop, tell you, criticize anybody who criticizes the city as engaging in fear-mongering and promoting fear porn and distorting what the experience is. But you talk to anybody who's been in Chicago for any period of time, and they will say the same thing that this restaurateur, Aguirre from Bellanotte, say. It's not the city I grew up with. It's not the city I grew up with. And you could say, well, there's some good aspects of that, but just specifically with respect to the enjoyment of the city, the cultural offerings, which necessarily include restaurants and entertainment venues, it's not the city I grew up with.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, Ron DeSantis sits down for an extended interview with Jake Tapper and reminds some people, myself included, why he was such an attractive candidate to begin with. 5:38.
And later, why Northwestern, your university, should eliminate all their sports. But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 70 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. The Biden administration is suspending funding for the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. That's according to a memo from the Department of Health and Human Services that said the institute likely failed to comply with safety protocols and did not provide U.S. agencies with requested documents. The Chinese facility is at the center of the theory that COVID-19 leaked from the lab in late 2019, triggering the global pandemic. A man who was shot by police in southwest suburban Joliet earlier this week is now dead. The shooting happened on Monday after authorities responded to a report of shots fired on Elmwood Avenue. Officers found a 29-year-old man walking with a handgun and he was shot. Police have not yet released the man's identity. And the suspect is in custody following a deadly triple murder last year in Chicago's Morgan Park neighborhood. Police say DNA evidence links the alleged offender to the crime. No charges have been released. The victims were found in their home in 113th and Green back in April of 2022. They've been identified as 81-year-old Arteria Riley, 64-year-old Thomas Ann Riley, and 61-year-old Reuben Riley. News is a service of MyPillow. Big news, the MyPillow employees want to thank you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. Queen size MyPillow's regular price is $69.98, now only $19.98 with promo code Amy. Visit MyPillow.com and use promo code Amy. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Freedom Square is an unbelievable service designed to unite freedom-loving Americans. I know these guys. They love their country and they're doing an amazing job. You can log on now to create your free personalized dashboard. All of your favorite news sites, podcasters, all on one site, all at your fingertips. Sign up your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with freedom-loving Americans. Look, people want businesses they can support. You want to know the good guys from the bad guys. That's freedomsquare.com. Log on right now and create your personalized dashboard. Join us in the fight, so check it out. freedomsquare.com. Freedom lives here.
Let's welcome our new Freedom Square Business Network members. Image One, Breakthrough Ideas, Health Insurance Mentors, and Moms for America. It's time to unite and vote with your dollars. Download the Freedom Square app and register your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with patriots. Freedom Square. Freedom lives here.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Are high interest rates scaring you off from purchasing a home? There aren't a lot of houses for sale, so don't look for the housing market to crash, which means please don't put your home buying dreams on hold, waiting for lower interest rates, which may never come. You only live once. Remember, none of Townstone's home mortgages have a prepayment penalty, so if interest rates decrease, you can refinance with a low closing cost refinance at any time. If you're starting a new home purchase, Townstone is the only place to contact because we not only help borrowers with great credit and a large down payment to streamline their home purchases and quickly close, but we're also experts in helping borrowers with the so-called difficult loans. First-time home buyer or self-employed, we have a special program for you too. Need cash but don't want to lose your 3% low interest rate? We can do a cash-out home equity line to pay off your high-interest credit card bills while keeping your low first mortgage rate. So call 312-896-2110 or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financial is licensed in Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida. NMLS 136639. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually, speeding catches up with you.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. We start with the crash on the inbound Edens at Tower. That is blocking the left lane, making it 17 minutes in from Lake Cook Road to Montrose. Kennedy inbound side from O'Hare to downtown looks good. 18 minutes would be the travel time. And if you're going in on the Eisenhower, no complaints. Stevenson also wide open between 355 and DuSable Lakeshore Drive. There is a bit of a delay on 55 southbound between Weber and 126. Inbound side of the Dan Ryan looks great. The Skyway, I-57, and the Bishop Ford, all those are clear. DuSable Lakeshore Drive moving quickly both directions. Tri-State northbound tight Stevenson to Plainfield. Roadwork taking out 3 of the left lanes, and eastbound 8094. That's still tight between Klein and Chase, with a crash blocking 2 of the right lanes. Traffic is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check up your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sun and clouds, early morning thunderstorm, otherwise breezy day today, high 87, partly cloudy, less humid tonight, low 63, partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, high 81, a thunderstorm on Saturday, high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we move on to Ron DeSantis' interview with Jake Tapper, we're talking about Bella Notte closing and just the changing landscape in the city, and specifically as it pertains to the small businesses, independent businesses, restaurants, since Chicago is such a restaurant-centric town. And some of what the ownership of Bella Notte had to say in explaining why they're leaving Grand Avenue for Downers Grove. Tom and Oswego, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Now, I don't run a business in Chicago, but my business does business in Chicago, and it has gotten a lot riskier to send my guys down there with the trucks. We've been broken into recently here 2 weeks ago. We're on South Roosevelt Road doing some work. We're on one side of the street. Right across the street, two guys are trying to break into one of our trucks. Fortunately, the guys on the roof yelled at them. They took off. But that's how it's gotten. We have to watch the trucks. We have to watch every piece of equipment. If we have to watch the truck if the window is down, just for the safety of the guys. So we are in and out. We don't spend much time in the city. Parking has gotten horrendous, the cost. If you park for 5 minutes on the street, unload something, there's somebody giving you a ticket two blocks behind you. It's incredible.
And what
it really is.
How long have you had a footprint in the city? So how long has your business been operating in the city?
34 years.
So you have
34 years. And
you have some sort of longitudinal perspective on this over how things have changed.
Oh my gosh, we've done work in the city. We do work in the Midwest, so we do a lot of work in Chicago, and it has really gotten bad. I'd say in the last year and a half, where I never feared for my guys. We used to work on South Martin Luther King Drive, State Street, and some tough areas. We call them tough areas. We'd have to pull our ladder up on the roof while we're working because they steal it while we're on the roof.
Do you think there'll ever be a
while
time?
we're on the roof.
Tom, do you think there's going to be a time where you don't do any business in Chicago, where you just want to stay in the suburbs?
Yeah, you know what? In about 3 years, my wife and I just bought a lot in Tennessee, and our 3-year plan is to close the business down. I love my guys. Some of them were with me 28, 29 years. They all understand. We're just going to shut it down, and I'm going to retire. Yeah, that's how I won't go in the city. And I love the city. I used to go here real quick. When I worked at UPS, I get off work on a Friday evening. I was single. Drive to Geno's on Superior, get a half-cooked pizza, bring it home, and cook it for dinner. That's how much I love the city. And so we just don't do that. My wife and I don't go down there much anymore. And certainly I fear for her safety. I'm a tough guy. I can handle it. I keep my head on a swivel. But my wife and say the ladies want to go down, I don't feel comfortable doing that anymore. It's a shame. It's a beautiful city.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Well, that's exactly what the Aguirre family was saying. The Bella Notte. That's exactly what the Aguirres were talking about. Is Tom's perspective.
Have you gone downtown since you've been back? I mean, you've been back
I've been
for
down.
months.
I've been down a few times.
What do you think? Because I went to Harry Carey's last week, and my head was on a swivel the whole time, and of course I went for the senior dinner at 4:30 because I would never be caught dead downtown when it gets dark out. No way.
Yeah, some noodles and ketchup over at Harry Carey's.
The chicken Vesuvio is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been, it's okay.
And there were people down there, but people are walking around and I'm like, God, you better watch yourselves.
It feels, I think I've said this before, but it feels, even in the neighborhoods, maybe with the exception of West Loop, because so much of it's relatively new, other areas that are popular neighborhoods feel like they're decaying.
Yeah.
To me. That's what it feels. Just feels like it sort of has the stench and feeling of decay. All right. Well, on the flip side, talk a little bit about Ron DeSantis because he's taken on some water over the last few weeks and certainly taken a lot of heat, including from internally in his campaign about his performance since he announced almost 2 months ago. He has making himself more present in the last week or so doing interviews, including this much anticipated one with Jake Tapper, because of course this is, an enemy combatant, Jake Tapper. So let's see how he does when they're coming at him. And I think, and perhaps you'll agree with me if you saw the interview, or maybe if you hear a couple of clips from it, I think DeSantis reminded people why they were initially excited about him. Because he is prepared to jujitsu the D.C. press corps / Dem Socialist comm shop when they try to sort of set the direction of the discussion, when they try to corner you on particular hot-button social issues. So here's a good example of what I'm talking about. DeSantis' response to Jake Tapper, the Jake Tapper question, do you support a national abortion ban? That's the headline Jake Tapper is looking for. Okay. Ron DeSantis supports a national abortion ban. Ron DeSantis is a pro-life candidate. He wants to impose his will on the country. He's an authoritarian. It's all about abortion all the time. He's against women's rights. Beware suburban mobs. That's what Jake Tapper was trying to get out of this question and this interview. Not so much.
You recently signed a 6-week abortion ban in Florida. Yes or no, would you support that as a nationwide ban?
So I said I'm pro-life. I will be a pro-life president, and we will support pro-life policies. At the same time, I look at what's going on in the Congress, and, I don't see them, making very much headway. I think the danger from Congress is if we lose the election, they're going to try to nationalize abortion up until the moment of birth. And in some liberal states, you actually have post-birth abortions. And I think that that's wrong.
It's a simple little move that he made there. Simple little wrestling move he made there. But he got out of the hole, didn't he? Oh, you want the headline to be, I support a national abortion ban? No, the story here is the radical left, the radical pro-abortion left, and their attempt to nationalize the issue in contravention, at least in spirit, of Supreme Court decision in Dobbs. And you have these liberal states that are driving this, that abortion on demand, all 9 months, some cases past 9 months, taxpayer funded. And that is opposed by a supermajority of the country. That's the real issue, you see. This is where DeSantis is good. And he is succinct and he is clear because he has thought through these things. And this is why he impresses some, at least. Give you another example. Jake Tapper has been talking to some Republican pollsters, including, of course, those sympathetic to you, Governor.
Is that how he's phrased it?
Yeah, I've been talking to some of your people, and you know what they're telling me? That they agree with me. You're too socially conservative. This is what they're trying to pin on DeSantis. You're too socially conservative. You're some sort of backwater cretin with a Yale law degree and a JAG Corps tour of duty. Okay. Too socially conservative to win. That's the problem. That's why people are nervous about your candidacy, that it's not living up to its promise. You're too socially conservative.
So this issue gets into the state of the race because some of your supporters are disappointed that your campaign has yet to catch fire the way they would want in terms of polling. One Republican pollster, one who is sympathetic to you, I was asking her about your campaign, and she said she thought the issue was you bumped up at the beginning because voters, Republican voters, saw you as a more electable conservative like Trump, Trump without the baggage. But then they say as you go further and further to the right on some of these divisive social issues that could alienate moderates, suburban moms, et cetera, Republican voters see you as less and less electable. What do you say to that analysis?
Well, I don't think it's true. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I took a state that had been a 1-point state and we won it by 20 percentage points, 1.5 million votes. Our bread and butter were people like suburban moms. We're leading a big movement for parents' rights, to have the parents be involved in education, school choice, get the indoctrination out of schools. And of course, there's bread and butter issues that matter too. Inflation, more economic opportunity. Florida's economy is ranked #1 of all 50 states. We've worked hard to make that happen. Crime, you see crime in all these different communities that is now even going into suburbs in some areas.
Proof is in the pudding, which he eats with his hands, as you know. And bread and butter. I think he's hungry. But the point is, too socially conservative, you're scaring suburban women. Actually, suburban women are my base. Actually, I'm working with suburban women who are at the tip of the spear when it comes to the parents' rights revolt that's going on in K through 12 education.
He was good. He handled Jake Tapper very well.
The only thing that I would have added,
what?
I mean, it was a very good answer. The only thing I would have added, Jake Tapper, again, always attack the premise of charlatans like Jake Tapper. And I didn't used to say that about Jake Tapper, but that's what he's become as another hysteric at CNN, I'm sorry to say. As you move farther and farther to the right, you're scaring people. First of all, I'm not moving anywhere. It's not far right. It's center cut for the American, with respect to the American people. These are common sense positions. These are positions that are just reflective of basic decency and an understanding of where power resides, or what the power sharing arrangement between parents and teachers, between government and the individual should look like, and where government has to intervene to protect individuals, its primary responsibility. So don't allow, you're moving farther and farther. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm standing in place, and you're running off a cliff with the new Marxists. That's why it looks like I'm getting farther and farther away from you. I'm standing firm, and you're sprinting to the left. That's the only thing I would have added, but otherwise, very good. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. And it's not just the general electability question. You want to get specifics on specific issues? No problem. Trans? Sure.
There are more than 1 million trans adults in the U.S. What are their lives and the lives of the people who love and support them going to be like under a DeSantis administration?
Well, look, in the military, it's all about the mission first. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why you focus on mission first. People's individuality, it does take you do have to check that at the door, and that's not the only example. There's a whole host of other examples. So I think the military culture is unique in terms of that. Now, in terms of the larger issue, the question is what role does someone that's a man have in women's activities, even if they conceive of themselves to be a woman? I think it's wrong to have men compete in women's sports. And I understand some of those men conceive of themselves differently, but it's not fair to the girls who are competing. It's not fair to the women athletes. The swimmers who lost that national championship to the Penn swimmer, I mean, they've been training too. So I don't think it's good for that. And I think having things like locker rooms where they're having to share with somebody who's of the opposite sex, I think is wrong. So I would respect everybody, but what I wouldn't do is turn society upside down to be able to accommodate, which is a very, very small percentage of the population.
Brilliant. I mean,
very simple, very straightforward, and
not offensive to the trans community.
It shouldn't be. Whether it is or it isn't, that's irrelevant. The key here is you start from a basis and principle, and you don't allow yourself to be pushed into a corner, to be put back on your heels by Jake Tapper, the sentimentalist barbarians question.
Well, they want him to snap. They want him to say
what
something.
What do you have to say to those? There are 1 million trans. What do you have to say to them and to the people who love them? What are you talking about? I say the same thing to a dude who identifies as a girl that I say to anybody else than I say to a dude who identifies as a dude. We have these God-given constitutional rights. They're enshrined in our founding documents. We have the rule of law. Everybody is equal under it. There is equal protection. There are the same responsibilities. Hopefully, we share some similar self-imposed restraints so that we have an idea what being a good citizen looks like. That's it. You're trans, you're this, you're that. What do I have to say? What do I have to say to you? We can play this intersectionality game all day long. What do I have to say to Polish dwarfs and the people who love them? Same thing. Same thing over and over and over again. He doesn't respond to sentimental bull jive with more sentimental bull jive, which is what you're supposed to do. He's supposed to emote, and he doesn't. I respect them. They deserve the same respect as any other human being, respect and dignity as any other human being. But there are limits, and we're not going to completely reorder society to feed the very narrow demands of one small group. That's not how it works. What is so complicated about that?
I watched part of that interview, and I don't know if they ever got to it, but what about, Trump's indictments are stirring his base because a lot of people, including myself, want him to become president again so that he can pardon himself, so that he can get out of these, 2, 3, it's going to end up probably being 4 different indictments. But there's one lady in South Carolina at a rally who, she professed her love for Trump and then changed and professed her love for DeSantis.
I was invited to come today to listen to you by this gentleman, Representative Moss. I'm a very hardcore Trump supporter, but I know he made me stop and think a minute, because my love for President Trump comes from all the despair, all the things that he's been through, has served as our President of the United States, and he did a good job. But all the things, I'm thinking more with my heart and my sorrow and my love for him and for this country. But now this is the most important vote that we're going to have, and I have to think more with my mind and what's best for this country. And you did an excellent job, and I certainly appreciate it.
God bless you. Thank you.
That's it. Are you going to think with your heart or with your mind?
Yeah, DeSantis is not dead yet. I'll just say that. Mike, Northwest Indiana.
Morning, guys. In regards to the abortion thing, I think every candidate ought to just make a remark that the Supreme Court has settled this issue. The federal government has no say on this. Any president, Republican or Democrat, can't be issuing executive orders regarding terms of abortion. That's up to the state. So it's a moot point.
Thanks for the call. Yeah. Well, I agree that the position should be the Supreme Court threw it to the states, and that's where it shall reside. But DeSantis' answer is, and you can say that in addition to what he said, but what DeSantis did is really important, and Republicans should take notice. National abortion ban. That's the issue we're debating. No, we're not. No, we're debating the national abortion on demand, taxpayer funded, that the left aims to push. That's the real debate. That's the discussion we have to have. David Winnetka.
Yeah, when you go at these people, or not even going at them, when you're just rebuttaling to their complete and utter insanity, that there should be courses taught, at an early age, like how to deal with liberals, how to fight unfair. There you go. That's going to be the title of my book, How to Fight Unfair.
There you go.
Whether,
Let's start chapter 1 now.
Yeah, there's no fair fight in them, whatever. But, and the other thing, simply, just admire what they do. Like, if you ever listen to Raggedy Ann about anything, dodging this, dodging that, you get asked a question about abortion, just start talking about mint chocolate chip. You'll be fine. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Frank, Arlington Heights.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, it's really interesting what you're talking about there with the abortion issue, how he's moved to the right, allegedly. Now the left has gotten more and more, for lack of a better word, barbaric with these situations where they have, some states are allowing these post-birth abortions. we're going back. It's reactionary. We're going back 2,000 years. The Romans, and I've mentioned this before, they had you want to talk about a patriarchy? The men there could decide whether their child lived, even after birth. The Spartans, the people in Sparta, they used to throw kids who had physical defects like a cleft palate off the cliff when they were born because they were not sufficiently enough to be Spartans. Are we just turning into that again, except now that if women have the right to choose, and especially when we have these situations where it's post-birth, are we becoming a matriarchy? Is that what's going on here? I mean, they move so far to the left, they become so radical. DeSantis hasn't moved. Those are my thoughts on it.
Thanks for the call, Frank.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mick McDonald, co-founder of Configure One, a global leader in configure, price, and quote software for manufacturers, and a new customer of Signature Bank. Configure One recently came to Signature Bank for a loan under the Paycheck Protection Program after our previous business bank of 20 years left us out in the cold. When I called Signature, I worked directly with one of the founders of the bank, who assured me that my application would be submitted immediately. 1 week later, my loan was approved and funded, and I moved my entire banking relationship to Signature. Signature Bank is incredibly responsive, fully transparent, and a great partner for my business.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I love it very much because I do notice if I don't take it on a regular basis, I have less energy because I'm always on the road driving and I take care of people's dogs, so I expend a lot of energy all the time. I do feel a difference. And I'm always telling everybody about take Balance of Nature, take Balance of Nature. And the fiber and spice is really great. Sometimes when you're on the road all the time and you don't eat right and stuff, I take that and it's wonderful. It's very good.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, real quick, a big shout out to one of our listeners, Lois. Today is her birthday, so happy birthday to her.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday, Lois.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, it's tough to have a vast right-wing conspiracy when one of the conspirators is a gay Democrat. We'll talk about the IRS whistleblower's testimony yesterday at 6:06.
And later, why Northwestern should really just get rid of their entire sports programs, men and women's. Today, plenty of sunshine, hot and humid, a high of 85 degrees at 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's back to life as usual for all but one of us. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Someone who got lucky last night with the only winning ticket for the 6th largest U.S. lottery prize ever, $1.08 billion in the Powerball.
Lotto officials say the winning billion-dollar ticket was sold at a mini market in downtown L.A. The winning ticket has a cash value of $558.1 million. There is another big jackpot up for grabs this week. Friday night's Mega Millions jackpot estimated to be worth at least $720 million.
Fox's Ted Linder. House Republicans put a spotlight on Hunter Biden again.
The DOJ and the IRS gave preferential treatment to the president's son during a criminal investigation into his taxes.
Congressman Jason Smith. 2 IRS whistleblowers testified about the alleged interference in a case that led to a Hunter Biden misdemeanor plea deal. Here's Gary Shapley.
I'm here because our tax system relies on the American people having confidence it is administered fairly and equally for everyone, regardless of your last name or political connections.
Democrats say the investigation's a bust without merit. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
We are not here today, unfortunately, because the facts have brought us here. We are here today
because Donald Trump is exerting an influence campaign.
Speaking of the former president, a judge rejected his attempt to move the upcoming criminal trial in New York related to hush money payments in 2016 to keep alleged affairs quiet. From state to federal court, Trump calls that and other criminal investigations witch hunts. The Rocky Mount, North Carolina area twisted apart by a tornado that damaged homes and buildings, including a Pfizer facility.
Nash County Sheriff Keith Stone telling us reports of maybe 50,000 pallets of medicine destroyed in the damage here.
Fox Weather's Nicole Valdez outside the building. A shooting in Auckland, New Zealand has left 2 people and the gunman dead near the venue of the Women's Soccer World Cup. Right before the first game that was deemed safe to play, New Zealand beat Norway. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 70 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. Congressional Republicans continue to hammer the issue of illegal immigration. At a hearing Wednesday, former Texas DPS Captain Jason Jones urged the federal government to step up the fight against the drug cartels.
If we do not designate these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, the 100,000 Americans that we are losing year after year to date is just the beginning.
The head of the House Homeland Security Subcommittee, Tennessee's Mark Green, laid the blame at the feet of the Biden administration, citing the 5.5 million illegal immigration arrests since 2021. Trump Tower in downtown Chicago is facing some legal problems. A pair of local nonprofits accuse the hotel of misusing water from the Chicago River and miscalculating how much of it they're taking. Friends of the Chicago River and Sierra Club, Illinois, are suing Trump Tower for violating the Federal Clean Water Act. The group say the hotel is not taking necessary steps to prevent harm to the riverside's wildlife. It's Lottery Week in Illinois, and the theme for 2023 is more than a game. The goal is to highlight the positive impact that national lotteries have on their states and communities. Illinois lottery officials say close to 25% of every dollar played goes towards kindergarten through 12th grade education and other causes. News is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile or text the word app to 64636. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Brandon Tatum is fired up.
You are a complete fool, and I would argue a complete coward, if you do not at least acknowledge and admire what was done to gain our independence. You are a complete coward if you decide that it's not worth celebrating 1776 and our independence.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation's Let Us Do Good Village in Land O'Lakes, Florida, is a community that will have about 100 homes for the foundation's program participants. 2 families have already moved in. A Gold Star family and the family of a severely injured veteran moved into the community's first smart home. It's a special place where together families can heal. Make the Let Us Do Good Village the first of many communities like it. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
That huge data breach from a few weeks ago has probably moved off your radar, but your information could still be on the dark web. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious activity, like someone using your info. If there's a problem, LifeLock's U.S.-based identity restoration specialists will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but LifeLock will help protect your identity long after this breach is forgotten. Save up to 25% your first year. Use promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for Townhall.com. President Biden has been working to remake the U.S. economy, all in the name of climate change. The price of energy and everything else has skyrocketed. The U.S. is no longer energy independent. Gas stoves are under siege. We're being pushed toward expensive and inconvenient electric cars. New regulations aimed at air conditioners are on the way. Our quality of life is being eroded even as nothing is demanded from China, far and away the world's greatest polluter. Now, a United Nations report reveals that the world's temperatures haven't even risen for the past 15 years. And leaked documents seen by the Associated Press prove politicians urge scientists to cover up that very important fact. Global warming hysteria provides a convenient pretext for politicians to seize enormous amounts of power. We saw it during COVID. We shouldn't be so quick to give in.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchat taking a look at the roads. It's wide open going inbound on the Edens. The Kennedy, a 30-minute trip in from O'Hare to the Jane Byrne interchange. Pretty tight there from Nagle to Montrose. Eisenhower, 30 minutes, 390 into the post office. Outbound looks good. 55 northbound, that is tight. Weber to Route 53. There is a rollover blocking the right lane. Stevenson inbound, a half hour, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Southbound 55, tight Veterans Parkway to Weber. And there are delays on the inbound Rhine. Not bad, though. 13 minutes, 95th on in. Express lanes tight 33rd to the Stevenson. Also slowing down on the inbound side of the Bishop Ford, 111th into the Dan Ryan. Eastbound 8094, stop and go Klein to Chase. Crash in the right lane. Traffic is a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His Word each Sunday morning right here, AM 560 The Answer. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now, check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
An early thunderstorm today, otherwise sun and clouds and breezy, high 87. Partly cloudy, less humid tonight, low 63. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, the high 81. And then a thunderstorm on Saturday, the high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday we had a new name introduced to the public. Joseph Ziegler is his name. He's the IRS special agent and fellow whistleblower, along with the supervisory agent in the Hunter Biden matter, the Biden Incorporated matter, really, Gary Shapley. Both were before the House Oversight Committee yesterday. And it was interesting, in part because Joseph Ziegler identifies as a gay Democrat. He identified himself as a gay Democrat. So he talked a little bit about it, sort of in identitarian language, which confirmed to me that he is indeed a Democrat.
And he's gay.
But the substance of what he had to say, and he goes through this in great detail, as Gary Shapley has since he became public, with specific dates and specific issues raised in terms of normal protocols that were not followed in the investigation, in the recommendation for charges, and ultimately the plea agreement. Ziegler top-lining the issue for us.
In early August of 2022, federal prosecutors from the Department of Justice Tax Division drafted a 99-page memorandum. In so, they were recommending for approval felony and misdemeanor charges for the 2017, 18, and 19 tax years. That did not happen here, and I am not sure why. And as to the as the special agent on this case, I thought the felony charges were well supported.
Normal protocols.
I have outlined for you some instances in which assigned prosecutors did not appear to follow the normal investigative process, slow-walked the investigation, and put in place unnecessary approvals and roadblocks from effectively and efficiently investigating the case. A number of times we were not able to follow the facts.
And now recall that they testified, both these IRS whistleblowers testified behind closed doors a couple of months ago, and Shapley has come forward, been out in the public arena for several weeks now, including that sit-down he did with Bret Baier the other week. But Ziegler is new. And so they say, well, what do you have on the big guy? What do you have on the connection between Hunter and Joe Biden? This was interesting. This wasn't part of his testimony yesterday, but it was part of a sit-down he did. I'll see your Brett Barrett. I'll raise you a Catherine Herridge. Ziegler sat down to be interviewed by CBS's Catherine Herridge.
Yeah, she did a good job.
She asked about the big guy. Where's the connection to the big guy? Did you identify one?
Did you uncover evidence that President Biden financially benefited from his son's deals?
I don't feel comfortable answering that question.
Why is that?
Anytime we potentially wanted to go down the road of asking questions related to the president, that's going to take too much approvals. We can't ask those questions. And I mean, it created an environment that was very hard to deal with.
It's a politically sensitive case. Wouldn't it require additional approvals?
Yes, I do understand that aspect, but it would be like, well, let's think about it. Let's put that on the back burner.
And it was so bad. Catherine Herridge even asked him why, because it wasn't just Biden that was getting money. It was Biden's 9 to up to maybe 12 different people in the family that were getting payouts.
You want to interview Hunter Biden's adult children?
So a lot of the business deductions, expenses related to the adult children.
Did you get the approvals?
So we never received the approvals to talk to those people.
What did the assistant U.S. attorney tell you?
That's going to get us into hot water.
Is that in the IRS handbook, avoiding hot water?
No, but I mean, I was asking to do these certain things, and roadblock after roadblock was put up in front of me.
Yeah, that's why I appreciated his answer, and I think it goes to his credibility. Did the big guy benefit? Do you have any evidence the big guy financially benefited? Well, I can't say yes, I can't say no, because it was a road we weren't allowed to travel. That's really key, that she's showing. They're saying, I don't know what the truth is. But it was something we weren't allowed to pursue. And that's ultimately the problem. We weren't allowed to go where the facts led, and that was unusual. And by the way, he's saying that not just about himself. He's saying that about the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, too, David Weiss, even though David Weiss isn't saying anything. And it's getting more and more difficult for Weiss and Merrick Garland to stay quiet, in my view.
Did you uncover evidence that President
In our investigation was constantly hamstrung, limited, and marginalized by DOJ officials as well as other U.S. attorneys. I still think that a special counsel is necessary for this investigation.
And I'll tell you what, this Democrat doofus on the committee named Dan Goldman, he came very close to making the case for special counsel for the whistleblowers and House Republicans, for that matter. Dan Goldman, the Democrat, questioning the whistleblowers. This is great.
Okay.
These guys are so bad. These grand inquisitors. Again, Congress, a bunch of mediocre intellects Earl-shibed into looking somewhat consequential. Thank you, Dennis Miller. Dan Goldman is a good example of what he was referencing.
That he said that Hunter told his dad, according to Rob Walker, quote, I may be trying to start a company or try to do something with these guys. Now, let me ask you something. That doesn't sound much like Joe Biden was involved in whatever Hunter Biden was doing with the CEFC if Hunter Biden is telling him that he's trying to do business with them, does it?
No, but it does show that he told his father he was trying to do business, and he was
okay.
talking
Well,
to his
that is
father
true. Hunter Biden
about the
does
business.
try to do business. That's correct. Yes. So you don't not only have no direct evidence connecting Joe Biden to any of Hunter Biden's business deal, you actually had proof that he wasn't involved. That is the proof that you had. And in the end of the day, that this was a 5-year criminal investigation with tens of thousands of documents, maybe hundreds of thousands, unusually search warrants, aggressive techniques. You wrote a report recommending felony charges.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
So apparently Dan Goldman is unaware that Joe Biden continues to deny any knowledge of Hunter Biden's business dealings. And yet he just prompted under oath a IRS supervisory agent to say, if you're taking what I say at face value, then yes, it establishes that Joe Biden was apprised of the business dealing, which runs afoul of Joe Biden's position on the matter. But there's nothing to see here. That was sort of the general gist of the response from Democrats on the committee, including that Stephen Van Zandt impersonator, Jamie Raskin, the ranking member. There's nothing to see here. Donald Trump. You literally have people. The real criminal, that Congresswoman from Mexico, the real criminal is Donald Trump.
Yep.
What?
That's not why we're here.
Okay.
Hello, focus.
Right. So it was denial and misdirection. What you would expect. But, I mean, Jamie Raskin is really something. He is quickly rising up the ranks to challenge Adam Schiff for the most dishonest member of Congress. Jamie Raskin, big nothing burger. Here's you should hear what he had to say if you didn't hear it, because you understand what the position is going to be. If Jamie Raskin is saying it, then in your neighborhood,
they'll be saying it too.
At your kid's school, your dutiful leftists will be repeating this back to you, so prepare yourself mentally.
At today's hearing, we're going to hear about wrongdoing by Hunter Biden, who's pleading guilty on 2 tax charges and a gun charge next week. We'll hear about the back and forth among investigators, prosecutors, and a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, over a dozen people who spent 4 years investigating the president's son. We'll hear about how they disagreed on investigative steps and what criminal charges to bring, all normal stuff in government investigations that doesn't usually lead to a congressional hearing. But one thing you will not hear today is any evidence of wrongdoing by President Joe Biden or his administration. Like every other try by our colleagues to concoct a scandal about President Biden, this one is a complete and total bust.
Well, that was before Dan Goldman spoke and confirmed that Joe Biden has been lying to the American public. I mean, this doesn't come as a surprise to anybody who listens to this show or anybody who has, functioning gray matter and has been paying attention. But nonetheless, that happened.
Well, what I took away, that he should have been charged with a tax felony, not a tax misdemeanor.
Yeah, okay. Right, obviously. The 4-year investigation line. Oh, it's 4 years. They're trying to suggest that it was so rigorous. It was so thorough. After 4 years, they never even got to interview Hunter Biden.
Right. The person they were investigating.
So it was 4 years, not because it was rigorous, but because it was being slow-walked and impeded every step of the way, as these IRS agents and an FBI supervisory agent have testified to before Congress. So, just the whole 4 years thing. Oh, my gosh, 4 years, and all they find is this. Right. There's a reason. Listen to the actual testimony, unless you want to refute that testimony. And be specific, because these whistleblowers are being specific, aren't they? Dates, times, people, statements. And I'm still waiting for somebody to refute anything that Shapley, now Ziegler, the FBI dude, have said. Still waiting.
And they got into the depths of the depravity of the person known as Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden allegedly falsely claimed business deductions for payments made to the Chateau Marmont, a hotel room for his supposed drug dealer, sex club memberships, falsely referenced on the wire as a golf membership, hotels he was blacklisted from, and a Columbia University tuition payment for his adult daughter. All of these items were used to support the willfulness element for felony tax evasion. These false deductions claimed by Hunter Biden caused a false return to be prepared that underreported his total income by approximately $267,000 and a loss to the U.S. Treasury of $106,000.
Yeah, he was articulating the standards of analysis here to demonstrate that the willful attempt to defraud.
Right, but if you or I or a regular Joe on the street did that, they'd be charged with a tax felony and not a tax misdemeanor.
Which was recommended in this case, but
since he's the president's son, he gets off.
there you
easy.
go. Well, that's the deal. Jamie Raskin. So 4 years. 4 years is one of plank of their misdirection. 4 years, and this is all they have. They can't connect it to the big guy. The other, as you know, you've been hearing it for Juan Williams for 4 months. This is really a story about a father's love of his boy who's struggling with addiction. So the second prong is that it's a love story.
A love story.
And
he's flying in hookers from L.A. Okay.
And the third addiction is a dark thing. As anybody who knows, anybody who struggled with addiction knows, it's very dark, and people do terrible things to themselves, and they hurt the ones they love, like their father. That's the story. And then the third piece of the misdirection play that you heard from Jamie Raskin, laying it all out so that the people in River Forest could run with it and repeat it to their neighbors, so they have something to say and they don't have to engage their minds. The third piece: Trump appointed U.S. attorney.
Oh.
Trump appointed U.S. attorney.
How many times
Trump
did we hear that
appointed U.S.
yesterday?
attorney. Jamie Raskin said it about 15 times in 40 seconds.
My colleagues are trying to exercise today. So what happened? Well, the son of the sitting president of the United States lost his brother and then lost his way badly back in 2015. As too many families around the country know, drug addiction is a dark and powerful affliction. And like other addicts, Hunter Biden made foolish and criminal choices, including failing to pay his taxes and owning a firearm in violation of federal law. And he's now being held criminally accountable for it. His investigation began under the Trump administration. It was conducted by a U.S. attorney for Delaware, David Weiss, who Donald Trump appointed to his office and who Attorney General Barr chose for this assignment to conduct this investigation. In his final press conference in December of 2020, Attorney General Barr expressed full confidence in Weiss's work, saying it was, quote, being handled responsibly and professionally within the department, and to this point I have seen no reason to appoint a special counsel, and I have no plan to do so before I leave. Furthermore, Joe Biden never publicly questioned or challenged this prosecution. When it began, he did not decry it as a witch hunt by Donald Trump. He placed his trust in the fairness of the American justice system. When he became president, not only did he not use his power to halt the investigation, he kept in place Trump's handpicked U.S. attorney, Mr. Weiss, overseeing it, even though incoming presidents usually replace U.S. attorneys with their own appointees. And his attorney general, Merrick Garland, made sure that Mr. Weiss, appointed by Donald Trump, had full authority and resources to pursue this probe and charge it however and whenever he saw fit in any district in the country.
Yeah, well, that last part is disputed. The Barr failure to appoint a special counsel was a failure of Bill Barr to appreciate just exactly the nature of the FBI. And in terms of the DOJ, he's not interfering with it. Well, why do you need to interfere with it when you have Merrick Garland to run interference for you?
Right.
I mean, this is, again, Jamie Raskin, the serpent's tongue there. But just so you understand the arguments they're going to make. 4 years, Trump appointed U.S. attorney, and the sophistry of the love story between the old man and his baby boy Hunter. Bob, Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for getting to me. It's always good talking to you. I caught most of it until the network switched over at 4 o'clock. But my takeaway was hearing my former Congressman Raja keep on referencing, but Biden wasn't president. But Biden wasn't president. And fortunately, Shapley came back with a good comment saying, yeah, but he was running for president. And to me, this all sounds like a big cover-up to protect the big guy.
Yeah, Raja's a dope. He's another sophist. He's not very good at it. He's slightly better than Dan Goldman. Thanks for the call, Bob. Yeah, he wasn't president in April of 2020. No, but he was the nominee. And we know what the culture inside the FBI was, and even to some extent DOJ. I mean, unless Representative Krishnamurthy, you want to dispute what these IRS agents are telling you on point. So these things did or didn't happen. The slow walking, the trying to derail the laptop investigation by an FBI agent who's now retired, another example. So these things did or didn't happen. Are you saying they didn't happen? Well, what proof do you have that they didn't happen? He was the nominee. We understand what the testimony is. We understand other such instances that call the credibility of the FBI into question in terms of their political motivations. So the fact that Biden wasn't president when they first wanted to bring charges in April of 2020 says what? Says what? I wanted to bring felony charges in April of 2020. We couldn't. Here's why we couldn't. But Biden wasn't president. Right. They were just working to ensure that he would become president 6 months later. John and Palatine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hello.
Hey, John.
Yes, I was going to say that if you're an alcoholic or if you have an alcoholic in your family, you're not going to a liquor store and bringing liquor home. We hear that Hunter Biden is a drug addict. If you look up the UK Daily Mail, last year his wife, with Secret Service protection, was going into a cannabis store in California. She was buying marijuana with Secret Service protection and then presumably going home. So he's not a recovering addict. If his wife is going out to get pot and he's a crack addict, I'm sure at least if he's toned down at all. But there's pictures of that, and that should be a more widely known story.
Thanks for the call, John. Well,
She could have been buying it for herself. I mean,
also, I mean, even if he indulged, I mean, that's a tragic relapse because addiction is a dark thing. And I'm not making fun of addiction. I'm making fun of this cover story that people like Jamie Raskin are trying to sell. Glenn in Oak Brook.
Yeah, good morning, guys. A couple things here. Number one is Joe Biden is an enabler of his son to perform bad things. So Joe Biden is the enabler. On a funny note, listening to the deductions from the IRS agents, I think everybody needs to go back and amend their tax returns and take all those deductions that were questionable.
Particularly if you belong to a sex club. Yes.
Yeah, that you pass off as a golf club.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Glenn.
Yeah,
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Want to remodel your kitchen or bathroom? There's only one name to remember: ForEverRemodeling.com. Not Core Ever Remodeling or Door Ever Remodeling or Explore Ever Remodeling. It's ForEverRemodeling.com. Need an addition or whole home remodeling? Don't call 1, 2, 3 Ever Remodeling. It's ForEver Remodeling. Want to finish your basement but don't know where to turn? It won't help to think of Store Ever or Snore Ever or Score Ever Remodeling. You want ForEver Remodeling. ForEver Remodeling is your go-to for the highest quality kitchen, bathroom, whole home remodeling, room additions, and basement finishing. So don't go to Decor Ever Remodeling or Implore Ever Remodeling or Dinosaur Ever Remodeling. When you're ready for your project to take off, go to 1098765 ForEverRemodeling.com. That's the number ForEverRemodeling.com. Or call us at 847-809-3355.
When America's debt bubble bursts, it could destroy the value of your 401k or IRA. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why I recommend gold IRAs. And Birch Gold Group is the only gold IRA company I trust. Right now, you can get a free info kit on gold when you text the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to 989898 to request your no-cost, no-obligation info kit today.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Well, I've been taking it for some time. We saw the ad, and we thought we would give it a try. And I noticed after the first month, we had more energy. and we just felt better. I told my doctor, too, and she said, this sounds like a really good, healthy product for you to be taking. We plan to take it for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hey Chicago, do you like great seats? How about on-field pregame access? What if it was free? Now we got your attention. We are proud to bring you the Wintrust Crosstown Series. Whether you're a Cubs or Sox fan, Wintrust wants you to have an unforgettable fan experience. Enter the Wintrust Crosstown Series sweepstakes for your chance to win great seats and pregame on-field access. Go to wintrust.com/crosstown. Chicago's Bank, getting Chicago's fans to the game. Banking products provided by Wintrust Financial Corp. Banks. See official rules at wintrust.com/crosstown-rules. Member FDIC.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney from the Southern District of New York and the National Review contributing editor Andy McCarthy about the next indictment coming down the pike of one former president. That's at 6:36.
You can name your favorite indictment. But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 70 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. Governor Pritzker is finished with his trade mission to the United Kingdom. Over the past several days, the governor participated in discussions on collaborations in technology and higher education and held meetings with business organizations to strengthen ties to Illinois. Pritzker also announced the intent to pursue a memorandum of understanding with the UK to advance trade and economic development goals in Illinois. City officials say that the NASCAR street race brought in millions. The Tourism Bureau reports that the downtown hotels reached an 80% occupancy rate over the 4th of July weekend. The hotel revenue generated $4.7 million in state and city taxes. The revenue totals were the highest since 2015 when the Grateful Dead sold out Soldier Field for 3 straight nights. The Chicago Air and Water Show will return next month. The event, which is held along the city's lakeshore, will take place August 19th and 20th. Fans will be able to see tricks from high-speed civilian and military pilots and aircraft. The show can also be seen from Fullerton to Oak Street on the lakeshore. News is a service of MyPillow. Big news, the MyPillow employees want to thank you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. Queen-size MyPillow's regular price is $69.98, now only $19.98 with the promo code AMY. Visit MyPillow.com and use promo code AMY. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4 right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature, changing the world one life at a time.
This Balance of Nature has really helped me. It has kept me peppy as far as energetic. I honestly know that I have to give it credit. So I know that greatest thing that I take is that Balance of Nature. No matter what I have to endure, I am not giving Balance of Nature that.
It gives us more energy, and we have a rescue farm to take care of. And there isn't anything else that we've changed that would give us the energy, and we just love it. We just swear by it. Both Chuck and I have had the same experience, and I said, Chuck, it has to be Balance of Nature.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-333-1750. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-333-1750. 800-333-1750 or biglou.com.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads eastbound 8094 solid Kennedy to Burr with an accident. 3 left lanes are blocked. Very busy on that. Northbound 65 tight 94th Avenue all the way to 8094. It is now 30 minutes going in on the Edens from Lake Cook Road to Montrose. Kennedy a 40-minute trip in from O'Hare to the Jane Byrne interchange. Eisenhower 40 minutes, 390 into the post office. That delay Wolf to Oak Park. And the Stevenson 35 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Dan Ryan going in 16 minutes 95th on in. Delays in the express lanes 47th to the Chinatown feeder. Also on the inbound side of the Ford Stop and Go, Stony Island feeder into the Dan Ryan. But the good news is all the tollways are in good shape. Traffic is sponsored by Blindster.com. Shopping for new blinds at Blindster, they offer over 50 different blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices. Custom made for your windows and shipping is free. Shop at home and order 10 free samples of any product before you buy. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sun and clouds, early morning thunderstorm, otherwise breezy day today, high 87, partly cloudy, less humid tonight, low 63, partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, high 81, a thunderstorm on Saturday, high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. All right, we spent a good deal of time now on the IRS whistleblowers that were before the House Oversight Committee yesterday, and distilling the misdirection and incompetence exhibited by Democrats like Raskin and Goldman. Now, let's turn our attention to Trump's imminent indictment, number 3, if you're scoring at home, in the January 6th case. The statutes and potentially telegraphing the charges against Trump in this case, which I think could be announced any day, probably next week, but any day. Defrauding the United States by claiming he won the 2020 election, obstructing an official proceeding, seeking to have Congress set aside the election results in some states, send it back to the states, and inciting an insurrection. And as we talked about yesterday, George Washington law professor Jonathan Turley observing, look, if all Jack Smith has is what's already in the public domain, including on the incitement charge, Trump's speech on that day in that place, then he really doesn't have very much. And again, you don't want to preordain what he has and what will be contained, but you can do some sussing out based on the notification letter Trump received, in addition to suggesting, just as Professor Turley did, if you don't have more than we know how this is going to be received by at least half the country, maybe more. And Jack Smith potentially is in danger of turning himself into a federal version of Alvin Bragg, as Jonathan Turley also said. For more legal expertise on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York, contributing editor at National Review, and author of Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, as always.
What's your handle on what the January 6th charges could look like? How and whether or not there's any sort of indication of something that is not in the public domain that will be revealed once he's indicted?
I think there's something, Dan, that's in the public domain, but that we haven't paid enough attention to, that Smith is probably very focused on, and that's the fundraising by the campaign. I wrote a column about this at National Review yesterday. I really don't think all the people with the wishful thinking about incitement to insurrection, there is no incitement case against Trump. You can't. It may be in a choreographed, televised House committee hearing where the whole committee is controlled by Democrats and there's no dissent and no cross-examination and no completeness. You can get away with broadcasting a version of Trump's speech which focuses in on only the parts you want people to hear. But there are a number of times in the speech where Trump talks about peaceful protest.
Right.
So in a trial, which is not a cartoon, the defense gets to put that in front of the jury, and the judge will instruct the jury that you have to show that someone specifically intended the use of force, and you can't get that out of Trump's speech. Now, you can say he's morally culpable, and you can say he's politically culpable. You can't make a criminal incitement case against him on that.
There's something else on the incitement. There's something else on the incitement. Just before we move on to the other things, I wanted to get your take on. The other thing is, you just mentioned it, the January 6th Star Chamber. So after those many months and those evening specials where they were offering their big David Copperfield-like reveals, and they couldn't connect the dots. They don't have, Trump was conspiring with person A and person B, and they were they were choreographing, as you were saying, this assault on the Capitol and so on and so forth. I'm going to say this, and that's the trigger to go there. They don't have anything. So how would Jack Smith have something on that specific potential charge that the committee couldn't come up with?
Yeah, you're quite right about that, and let me tell you why it's even worse for Smith than you suggest, which is pretty bad in and of itself. It's not like he's indicting into a vacuum here, right? The Justice Department has prosecuted about 1,000, maybe 1,100 people in connection with the Capitol riot. They have never once, in a single case, including their big seditious conspiracy prosecutions, ever alleged that Trump was an unindicted co-conspirator. They have fought tooth and nail against defendants who've tried to shift the blame to Trump or to argue that they were just acting on Trump's orders or believe they were. So at this point, with the Justice Department having taken that position in so many cases, if they were suddenly, to pivot now and decide, well, on second thought, Trump really is responsible for the whole thing. That opens up a can of worms for like in 1,000 other cases. So
great point.
They're not. That's not. I don't think that's going to happen. So what you're left with is these vapory corruption and fraud charges. And the reason I think these are very problematic, I know that conspiracy against the United States, we discussed this a number of times during the Mueller investigation, and I did my rant against it because it's like this gaping hole in the criminal law that allows prosecutors to make up crimes that Congress hasn't codified. The Supreme Court decided two important cases in May against these convictions that they threw out against Cuomo cronies that my old office in New York had won years ago. The Ciminelli case and the Percoco case, it was around the middle of May. But what the court was adamant about is, number one, in federal law, fraud is what people always commonly understood it to mean, which is a scheme to bilk people out of money or tangible property. And that prosecutors are not at liberty to use the concept of fraud and relatedly the concept of obstruction to stretch them in ways that, progressives can try to enforce their ideas of what good government looks like. What the court basically said is, if Congress wants to write laws that make particular deceptive schemes that don't have anything to do with stealing money or property, if Congress wants to make that a crime, they can try to write laws that aren't vague laws that outline what's criminal. But prosecutors don't get to make up the law as they go along. And if you take the violence out of the post-election goings-on, what you're left with is, did Trump really believe that he lost the election? That is, did he personally think that all this talk that his camp was doing about fraud, did he know that that was all unmitigated nonsense? I think it's going to be very hard to believe that Trump personally didn't think there was election fraud. And you're otherwise left with John Eastman's legal theory. And if we're going to start criminalizing, weird legal theories or frivolous legal theories, this idea that, Pence had the authority to discount electoral votes, you could, when I was a prosecutor, I could have indicted 5 frivolous legal theories a day in new criminal fraud. But the Supreme Court is not going to indulge the idea that you could convict somebody of a fraud scheme on the basis of a crackpot legal theory that the vice president could pick the president. A crackpot legal theory is a crackpot legal theory. You reject it, you move on. It's not.
Although I got to tell you, I'm of two minds on the making crackpot legal theories indictable, because that would put a lot of trial lawyers in prison. So
put Jamie Raskin in prison.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
So this is the third possible indictment. What about the fourth investigation that's going on in Fulton County, Georgia? When are we going to know about that?
Well, that's coming, Amy. That's according to the reporting. She has asked. This is Fannie Willis, is the district attorney there. She has asked the court to clear its decks from, I think, July 31st to August 18th. So she's just impaneled the grand jury that they're going to present the case to. She had one special grand jury that under Georgia law just gets to investigate. They don't charge. And if she wants to charge, she's got to present that evidence to these charging grand juries. That's how Georgia law works in this regard. So she's told the court that they'd like to get other proceedings sort of grounded for that 2.5 week or so period at the beginning of July. So everybody has thought that's when she's going to bring the indictment. And I'm pretty sure that's what Smith thinks too, because I think the reason he's suddenly in an urgent rush is he already sees himself behind Bragg and behind the Florida case in the pipeline. He realizes if he gets behind Fannie Willis, he's never going to be able to get this case to trial. I still don't think he's going to be able to get the trial to case in a few months, but that's what he's trying to do. So I think he's in a hot panic now because he doesn't want her to indict first and have yet another case that's in front of him in the timeline. But I expect that we'll get her charges in the next month.
What's your assessment of the likelihood that Trump can delay all of these proceedings past November of next year?
I don't think he'll be able to delay the state proceedings because he doesn't really have as much ability to argue for delay, and the states don't have to pay as much attention to the federal election as the federal government does. In the federal cases, I think he's going to have a lot to play with because the Florida case is chock-a-block with classified information. So it's under what we call CIPA, the Classified Information Procedures Act, which is a long process where you basically, as I've called it, you have to do a pretrial trial of the trial because all of the admissibility issues have to be litigated before the trial. And that takes a long time. These lawyers aren't even cleared to get the discovery yet because they need security clearances. Can I just say one more thing, because I think I omitted to say where I think Smith is going, and that's an important thing that you asked me at the beginning.
Besides to a
You know,
Subway
I think
shop.
Yeah, besides to a Subway shop, I love that. The man, he went to Subway.
It was a clear message, a shot across the bow. That tuna, that foot-long tuna sub, that a shot across Trump's bow. No question.
I know. I spent all those years going to school on the New York subways, and I never knew I was making a statement. I thought I was going to high school, But
Sorry for
so,
interrupting.
but anyhow, the thing I think that Smith is looking at that we haven't paid enough attention to, and the January 6th committee did some stuff on this, is the fundraising. So all of a sudden, what he's saying, or what was being reported, is that the campaign raised tens of millions of dollars on the pretext that there was a fund that they were going to use to fight the fraud, stealing of the theft of the election, and that there actually was no such fund, and they diverted the money for other purposes. If he's got evidence of that and he can prove it, then that at least gets him into the ambit of what the Supreme Court describes as traditional fraud. That would be just a common scheme to raise money on false pretenses and divert it to your other, your own uses for other purposes.
Right.
I'm not saying he's got it. I think that's where he's going.
Yeah, but how does that even make sense? So he raises money by saying that he believed the election was stolen and that this is a way that we can set the proper outcome and so forth. As you say, but is there evidence he didn't believe that and this was all part of a fraudulent scheme to raise money and enrich himself? Well, one, that seems highly unlikely. Number two, he was paying lawyers to litigate the issue.
Right.
So how is he defrauding for personal enrichment of some sort when he's actually paying teams of lawyers to be in all of these jurisdictions filing complaints?
Yeah, well, a lot of this, I think what they would say is a lot of this happened after those cases were thrown out. And what they specifically said in some of the messaging that they sent out was, please contribute to the fund. And there was no such fund. And they have some evidence, like the January 6th committee, as the New York Times reported yesterday, the January 6th committee said that they diverted like $200,000 to Trump hotel properties. Now, I'm suspicious when I see that because they didn't tell us what they did. What was it for? Like, if they had a meeting of lawyers at the Trump hotel properties, you could justify spending the money on it, right? They don't really give us a lot of information.
I mean, money's fungible, and so possibly, let's just say that there was something like that happen. That sounds more like a campaign finance violation, which is usually treated with a fine, than a scheme to defraud. United States versus Trump. That seems, a little over the top. If that's what Jack, again, this is all supposition, but if that's where Jack Smith's going,
you're asking me where I think he's going.
Yeah.
If he's doing this authentically, he's got to comply with the Supreme Court decisions, and this is a way to get around them. It may be, Dan, that he's not doing this authentically. It may be that what they figure is they can get Trump convicted if they can get in front of a D.C. jury and then dare the Supreme Court to throw the conviction out. Which would be very political, but I wouldn't put it past them.
How did you interpret the reporting that there may be a witness tampering charge of some sort?
I want to see what the indictment says, but I think it's misreporting because the provision that they've charged everybody with in connection with January 6th on obstructing a congressional proceeding is in a statute that's called witness tampering.
Oh, so it's just the obstruction.
So even though
play,
I think they're just they're misreading the title of the statute as conduct rather than just a provision that they're going to for the obstruction claim. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
He is Andy McCarthy, never very, 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 very rarely wrong. Former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York, contributing editor, National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thank you as always.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dan Migatz, co-owner and CFO of AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, and a new customer of Signature Bank. We specialize in the creative design and construction of outdoor living spaces, providing our residential and commercial customers first-in-class landscaping services. Our company was founded as a one-man operation and today has grown into a multifaceted, one-stop shop for outdoor and indoor design and contracting needs. Signature Bank was there to provide the capital needed to grow our expansion efforts. We wanted to work with a bank that understands our business and is relationship-focused. Signature Bank is what a relationship bank is all about. We're excited to continue our partnership for many years to come.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Your kids won't be thinking about school very much this summer, but it's the perfect time for you to think about where you'll be sending your kids back to school, like in a month. Chop, chop.
I know it's rapidly approaching.
Yeah.
I'm going to be an empty nester, Dan. You want to come live with me? Or maybe I could take some migrants into my house. And
You're
make
not
going to
move to Iowa City? Relive your
and hover
college
over
years with Eli?
We are, yeah. Living in the same dorm my sister lived in years ago. Oh, I'm sorry, decades ago.
The Jacobson lineage, the Hawkeye tradition continues.
Yes. Too bad he didn't get into Stanley. Okay, continue with your wonderful live read.
Private school has never been more affordable thanks to halfpriceschools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across Chicagoland available at half the normal price. No catch, simple. Find a school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. Halfpriceschools.com has schools located all across Chicagoland, including Kankakee Trinity Academy, Ravenswood Christian School, St. Andrew's Lutheran in Park Ridge, Emmanuel Lutheran in Palatine, Kingswood Academy in Darien, and many more. Don't delay. Summer won't last forever, and school will be starting again before you know it. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. Again, many of these vouchers have already sold out, so do not wait. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
It's summertime, and you want to keep the shop, warehouse, and other doors open for ventilation. Air circulation improves the well-being of your employees and customers, but open doors can let in the uninvited, like strangers, birds, rodents, and bugs. Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. can help solve the problem with a full line of commercial screen door products designed with these specific problems in mind. Call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. now. Also, regular scheduled maintenance is the key, and Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. has multiple levels of maintenance programs for your company's needs and budget. They'll ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification to increase the useful life of your doors. Visit their website to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there to assist in designing a solution that works best for you. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The curse of bigness. We'll discuss with Amity Schlaze from the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Foundation, best-selling author of The Forgotten Man, as you should know. Amity Schlaze at 7:07.
Today we're going to have mostly sunny skies, a possible thunderstorm north of Chicago in the afternoon. Hot, humid, a high of 85 degrees. It is now 7 a.m., WIND Chicago.
House Republicans will put a Biden challenger in the spotlight. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a Democratic presidential candidate, is going to be a star witness at a hearing next hour focused on the censoring of political speech.
I was the first one that the administration started censoring.
Kennedy's COVID posts were removed online, labeled misinformation, which he'll again deny, testifying before a committee investigating what the GOP claims is the weaponization of the federal government.
Democrats Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Dan Goldman, Judy Chu sending a letter to the committee asking he be disinvited, writing, quote, Mr. Kennedy has repeatedly and recently spread vile and dangerous anti-Semitic and anti-Asian conspiracy theories that tarnish his credibility as a witness and must not be legitimized with his appearance before the U.S. Congress.
That's Fox Business Network Cheryl Castoni. Yesterday, House Republicans held another hearing focused on President Biden's son Hunter. 2 IRS whistleblowers testified there was political interference in a tax evasion investigation that led to a misdemeanor plea deal.
The U.S. attorney in Delaware in our investigation was constantly hamstrung, limited, and marginalized by DOJ officials.
That's Joseph Ziegler. Gary Shapley told lawmakers.
Prosecutors instructed investigators not to ask about the big guy or dad when conducting interviews.
Democrats called it a waste of time. Here's Congressman Jamie Raskin.
Like every other try by our colleagues to concoct a scandal about President Biden, this one is a complete and total bust.
A shooting in Auckland, New Zealand left 2 people and the gunman dead, 6 others injured, near where the Women's Soccer World Cup was about to start. But Prime Minister Chris Hipkins says there was no more threat.
The government's spoken to FIFA organisers this morning, and the tournament will proceed as planned.
And right afterward, New Zealand won the opening game, beating Norway. Somebody somewhere in California is having a good day. The Powerball ticket they bought in L.A. was the only winner of a $1.08 billion jackpot, the 6th biggest lottery prize ever. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. IRS whistleblowers are accusing the Justice Department of improperly interfering in the criminal investigation into Hunter Biden's taxes. IRS investigator Gary Shapley leveled some serious charges.
Prosecutors concealed contents of Hunter Biden's laptop from investigators. DOJ slow-walked steps to include interviews, serving document requests, and executing search warrants.
Shapley added that the DOJ refused to bring felony charges against the president's son, who recently reached a deal to plead guilty to 2 charges of misdemeanor tax evasion. He also added that investigators were not allowed to follow up on leads that may have implicated Joe Biden in alleged influence peddling schemes. A man is in custody after police say he shot a woman and apparently held 3 children hostage in Chicago's Hermosa neighborhood. Police say the woman was arguing with somebody inside of a home yesterday in the 2100 block of North Costner Avenue when she was shot. SWAT was called out before the suspect barricaded himself inside the home with the 3 children and refused to come out. The woman was hospitalized in good condition. The standoff ended several hours later with the suspect surrendering. Several former Northwestern football players are coming forward with allegations describing a culture of hazing within the program. The ex-players detailed the emotional, physical, and sometimes sexual abuse they suffered while playing football for the Wildcats. High-profile civil rights attorney Ben Crump and a team of lawyers representing more than 15 ex-student athletes are planning a lawsuit. They say that the hazing within the athletic program also impacted football coach Patrick Fitzgerald and baseball coach Jim Foster were both fired after the hazing scandal went public earlier this month. News is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The Sean Thompson Show.
There are millions upon millions of people of good character going to good states and low-rent Democrat scum going to Democrat states. After all, that's where they thrive. This is where this is acceptable. And it's being put as something that's normal. It's normal now to be an outright thief, scumbag, traitor to your country.
The Sean Thompson Show. Weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful at lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question, and the owners of Relief Factor tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal, and I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, each helping your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients deals with inflammation from a different metabolic pathway. That's right there, approaching from 4 different angles, may be why so many people find such wonderful relief. So if you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, knee, or foot pain from exercise or just getting older, you should order the 3-week quick start, discounted to only $19.95, to see if it will work for you. It has for about 70% of the 500,000 people who've tried it, and they've ordered more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, the number 4RELIEF, to find out about this offer. Feel the difference.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation's Let Us Do Good Village in Land O'Lakes, Florida, is a community that will have about 100 homes for the foundation's program participants. 2 families have already moved in. A Gold Star family and the family of a severely injured veteran moved into the community's first smart home. It's a special place where together families can heal. Make the Let Us Do Good Village the first of many communities like it. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
That huge data breach from a few weeks ago has probably moved off your radar, but your information could still be on the dark web. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious activity, like someone using your info. If there's a problem, LifeLock's U.S.-based identity restoration specialists will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but LifeLock will help protect your identity long after this breach is forgotten. Save up to 25% your first year. Use promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com.
Did you know most vitamin supplements have a warning label on the back? That's because without the synergy of thousands of nutrients working together that are found naturally in whole fruits and vegetables, vitamins are not balanced. This is why Balance of Nature only uses whole fruits and vegetables, no isolates or synthetic vitamins of any kind. We take a variety of 31 of the highest quality fruits and vegetables and remove the water without changing the rich chemistry. It's then ground to a powder, blended to perfection, and encapsulated, preserving the nutrients and making it easy to get the fruits and vegetables you need. So even though Balance of Nature comes in a capsule and looks like a vitamin, it's very different. Go to balanceofnature.com and for a limited time this summer, get a free fruit and veggies travel set plus $25 off your first order as a preferred customer when you use discount code CHICAGO.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. 8094 eastbound remains jammed Calumet to Burr with an accident blocking the 3 left lanes. Now, there is a Gabrus delay on the westbound side between 65 and Burr. Inbound Edens 25, Lake Cook Road to Montrose. Kennedy going in hour and 10 from O'Hare into the Jameburn interchange. A crash just cleared at Ogden Avenue. If you're heading in on the Eisenhower, 50 minutes, 390 into the post office. And the Stevenson, a 45-minute trip into DuSable Lakeshore Drive from the Veterans Memorial Tollway. 20 minutes, that's what it will cost you to get from 95th Street into the Circle, and the express lanes tightening up 59th to the Chinatown feeder. DuSable Lakeshore Drive heavy on the northbound. Southbound side looks good. Other tollways are fine. Traffic is a service of Cabino Oil Stain Remover. For stains on your garage floor, patio, around the barbecue, or driveway, go to CabinoEnvironmental.com to purchase the Cabino Oil Stain Remover, available at all 8 Rental Max locations. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
An early thunderstorm today, otherwise sun and clouds and breezy, high 87. Partly cloudy, less humid tonight, low 63. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, the high 81. And then a thunderstorm on Saturday, the high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our friend Amity Schlaze had a good piece over at National Review entitled The Curse of Bigness, talking about sort of the history of trust busting in America. But that curse of bigness seems limited, right? It's big companies, not big government. There doesn't seem to be any curse directed at ever-expanding government. So the whole trust-busting thing, government as the white hat and big bad corporations as the black hat, has the whole thing been more or less a fraud from the beginning? Is the whole dichotomy as presented a just disingenuous, a way to sort of cover the tracks of the relationship between big business and big government, relationship that's always existed, with one more or less trying to have the one up on the other? How should we conceive of these things, since you hear the populist rhetoric from these trust busters, including Biden administration functionaries like Lena Khan, the head of the Federal Trade Commission, spewing this populist rhetoric about going after the big guys on behalf of the small guys? Well, let's have a discussion about that with Amity. Amity Schlaze, board chair of the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Foundation, winner of the Hayek Prize, best-selling author of The Forgotten Man, A New History of the Great Depression, and Great Society, A New History. Pick them up both if you haven't. Amity, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
I am so glad to be with you. I think one word you said, populist, is the trouble. You can't confuse economics and political wishes. We might politically wish that things were going better, we were earning more, companies would stay and build out. But sometimes when you jump in and call the change economic, that's something else. And that's what happened originally when we started doing this in the 1890s and particularly in the early 1900s with the great trust buster, the octopus hunter, Theodore Roosevelt. And we're just kind of reprising that today. People are angry about a lot of things, and it comes out in the prosecution or persecution of big companies, but the results are what those who need help want.
Well, so, I mean, thinking about the quote-unquote robber barons of yore, something that Bert Folsom wrote a good book about the myth of said robber barons, but thinking about the great industrialists at the turn of the 20th century, that period, the Gilded Era, as compared to the big tech oligarchs of the day, the Zuckerbergs and the Musks and the Google boys. Do you see any significant differences, or is this again just a situation of the history we don't know? Nothing new in this world, just the history we don't know.
Nothing new but the history we don't know. What happened then back in the past is like now. A new technology comes, and wow, the companies that rise up from it instantaneously seem unstoppable. And we say, this is different. This is a new kind of company. They rule the economy. Railroads appeared to rule the economy in the original trust-busting period. Guess what? They don't. Even as the government was prosecuting the pants off the railroad industry, it was losing to a challenger, trucking. So it wasn't there forever, railroads. It wasn't the only road, a train. So what the government does is go after companies that are at their zenith, and waste a lot of time. And by the way, make that industry, beat that industry up so much that it's not able to do well and often fails. That's what happened with railroads. There's a pretty clear case that the prosecution and persecution of the railroads led to the Panic of 1907, which had caused unemployment closer to 10% than 5%. That is, a lot of regular people lost their job because of the government's drama theater over getting at what was called the curse of bigness. I'm glad you mentioned that book by Bert Folsom. I have a new column called Forgotten Book, and in that I do talk about older books. And Bert went through the robber barons. They're not all the caricature that one would assume. Some of them are just guys with a gun or guys with clout, as we say in Chicago, who took over something and held onto a monopoly, like a ferry path across the river. Others were true innovators, and one has to make the distinction. Usually guys who grab something hold on to it for a while, but not forever. And usually innovations are overtaken by new innovations. So anyway, I was fascinated because I never looked into this area. I really never did. I hope Amy's there too. To see the way the past replays the present.
Well, I mean, right. So, but the whole bigness, this whole, so what I started out saying, this whole dichotomy that's presented is, the trust busting public servants against the robber barons. I mean, that's a fraud that the government is perpetuating.
That's right.
What they really don't want, they encourage rent-seeking behavior because it enhances their control of industry. So what they really don't want is just somebody that gets beyond their effective control. If that's somebody that is just like at the individual level, somebody that isn't effectively dependent on them.
Yeah, and I use to use a much more recent analogy, which some listeners may recall. In the olden days, which were the 90s, people thought the browser that Microsoft was using was going to beat everything. And so there was a big prosecution of Microsoft with Joel Klein, if people remember, and David Boies. And it went on TV for years, and Mr. Bill Gates squirmed in his seat in the deposition chair. And while this prosecution of the only company that could manage a browser and make an innovative browser or team up with them was going down, another browser appeared called Google, and obviated the browser that was the center of this case. I believe it was Netscape. So, I mean, it's absurd theater, and it has political sense. People are angry. They maybe don't like Microsoft. They don't like a big company. Now there are newer companies, but that the market takes care of that itself. The bigness isn't abiding, and that's the fallacy and the curse of bigness. What is abiding and more problematic is what you're getting at, the government monopoly, the big government. And what I was trying to get at in this column is our curse of bigness is big government. And the original sin, their friend, I don't know if you agree, like to know, was 2008. When we said government is not only the rescuer, it's also the arbiter of who survives and who fails in the 2008 financial crisis. And once, the government could decide that, well, the government can do anything, right?
Yeah, but how do you stop certain Americans from becoming reliant on government to save them, to help them, during a COVID crisis or rescuing big banks?
Well, first of all, you inform them of facts. But once you tell someone he's always got to be, on kidney dialysis, he believes it, and always got to be, on something else. Every morning has to have a certain vitamin. So I do think part of it is education, which is a boring thing to talk about, but so important because you can't talk about this in a political campaign and things move too fast. But the evidence suggests. Tell your children, look at the evidence yourself. Have a look at that Folsom book, or look back at Microsoft. The evidence suggests the theater is unnecessary, and the evidence suggests the government slows things down as per the awful recovery after 2008. So slow, so halting, so many years. That's very important too, don't you think? Or am I getting it wrong?
Right, and of course, I mean, you're talking about the too big to fail, and the government being the arbiter, and the government was the arbiter even on a grander scale during COVID, which businesses could stay open, how they could stay open, who's indispensable and who isn't. I mean, that's essentially where the authority so many have ceded government. You can decide who gets to make a living and who doesn't, who gets to live and who doesn't.
I just want to say one more thing. I remember, and you remember, and Amy remembers that when we got more national health care, what some people call Obamacare, some people warned, well, the health care industry is going to take over the economy. And I thought, well, maybe. I know it's a large part of the economy. But what COVID showed is the healthcare industry can, not just economically, but culturally. The hospitalization of our economy. We walk around. That's what the masks are really. Is extending the hospital outside the hospital to the whole economy, and thereby ceding authority to the medical. I'm not paranoid, but let's say the medical establishment. Well, the medical establishment is good at being doctors, but they're pretty bad economists, and the decisions they make hurt us when they're allowed to decide, say, I don't know, create a culture that decides about mortgage payments or who goes to work over a long period of time. So the dark prophecies of the time when we got the new health care plan came true in COVID. The hospital culture runs our economy, and that is a strange thing.
What do you say to people, including Republicans on the Hill, as you've undoubtedly seen, who say, the big corporate titans today are different than Standard Oil, different than the railroads, because of the cultural sway they have in the digital age, the influence of these social media giants,
Well,
the cultural influence they have.
The cultural influence is really strong. Whose fault is that? Ours. Why? By which I mean common sense people. Why? We didn't educate. We never mounted a counter to public television or public radio. We never stopped teacher unions, who are not evil, but who do impart and oversee the imparting of a history of America that suits their interests, which is a more unionized government supervised America, and we did that for generations and looked away and produced a lot of angry talk radio or Fox. These things have their place. They're great in campaigns. One reason I like your show is you actually read these books. It's possible to have serious discussions among conservatives of a level that is on public television or public radio, but that isn't what usually happens. What happens is the thoughtful culture is the progressive culture in the media, and the other culture, the angry ranting culture, is the markets-oriented or conservative culture. We've got to change that by showing that the arguments here are solid. Over time, I think it's invent a better mousetrap instead of try and take down their mousetrap is the answer to what you're asking.
She is Amity Shlaes, board chair of the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Foundation, winner of the Hayek Prize, best-selling author of The Forgotten Man, A New History of the Great Depression, as well as Great Society, A New History. Amity, thanks as always. Appreciate your time.
Honored to be on your show.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
All right. For years, you've heard us talk about Turnkey offering more than just managed IT services. If you own a business, guess what? They can help you. Do you have any long-term strategies, such as identifying new revenue streams, growing your customer base, increasing your bottom line? Turnkey can help. Maybe it's a short-term problem like an employee just up and left, or filling positions you've had open for months. Maybe you need a shift supervisor, a part-time CFO, an IT guy, a general manager. Turnkey can help with that. Whether it's a seasonal problem or a long-term need, Turnkey's consulting staff have decades of experience in nearly every business function. And for a limited time, Turnkey will provide a free consultation to look at your situation and see what it would take to resolve it. Go to turnkey.pro and learn more. The pros at Turnkey share your values, and they are Chicagoland small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
If you have a pension, you might not realize your lump sum payment changes every year when the plan is recalculated. Rising interest rates can actually cause your lump sum amount to drop in value. It might make sense to retire earlier than you planned, or you may end up with less money than you were expecting. Call the team at Scott Tucker Solutions to get a free pension analysis for your retirement. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. You only have one chance to get this right. Mistakes could cost you tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Make sure you understand all your options before you make a decision with your pension. Call Scott Tucker Solutions and get your free, no-obligation pension analysis now. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. That's 560retirement.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Well, I've been taking it for some time. We saw the ad, and we thought we would give it a try. And I noticed after the first month, we had more energy, and we just felt better. I told my doctor, too, and she said, this sounds like a really good, healthy product for you to be taking. We plan to take it for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Structural foundation problems? Permaseal can help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Last year's severe drought has homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana experiencing symptoms of structural foundation issues. Cracked brickwork or caulking, uneven floors, new cracks in the drywall or ceiling, doors or windows that no longer open or shut properly, or basement walls that are leaning or bowing. All of these can be signs of a structural foundation issue. Too often we hear of homeowners paying for an expensive consultation just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. Our certified structural consultants will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. Life's frustrating enough. Let's fix what we can and avoid even bigger problems. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, Nelly, somebody won.
$1 billion lottery, right?
Yeah, $1.08 billion if they take the lump sum.
Okay.
It'll be $558 million, and the winning ticket was not sold in Illinois. Last time a Des Plaines couple won. We still don't know who they are because they want to remain anonymous, so good for them. It was sold in downtown Los Angeles at Las Palmitas. Mini Market was kind of a dive store, and it's a block away from Skid Row.
So sort of strangely appropriate that lottery tickets being sold on Skid Row. That's one is sort of connected to the other, but not in the way people normally think.
Reporters, they hype it up because as this jackpot gets bigger and bigger and bigger, everyone's into it, and they went to that store and interviewed people. So maybe this is the big winner. They interviewed people the night before the drawing. Maybe this is the guy.
Can I ask you, if you won all the money, what would you do with it?
For a bunch of hookers and cocaine.
Oh, okay, that's not good. We were hoping for a different answer. That's probably not the answer that we're looking for.
Hookers and coke?
What would you do?
So Hunter Biden won?
Oh.
Maybe. We don't know. He hasn't been identified.
Yeah, so we'll see if
Hunter Biden was at that mini mart, though. We know that.
Oh my gosh, it's the greatest. No, that was actually from 8 years ago, but it's still classic because he didn't miss a beat. He's like, oh well, of course, hookers and blow. That's what I'm gonna get. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Everybody has dreams.
I can't wait. I mean, what if it is somebody that lives in Tent City there?
All right, coming up at
Chances are good.
7:37, it's going to be a great night on Skid Row.
I
I
mean-
hope, unless he parachutes out like that Desplaines couple.
Yeah.
I just hope they stay solvent. They can stay anonymous. Just stay solvent. We know the story of the what happens to so many lottery
Oh,
winners.
yeah. A lot of them end up dead.
7:37, Heather McDonald joins us. We'll talk about that massive 1.8, speaking of billion-dollar payouts, $1.8 billion payout to New York City teachers who couldn't pass a competency test, as well as how the dude who's Miss Netherlands is the new face of Western self-cancellation. That's at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley is in for Mike Scott. Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. The Senate Judiciary Committee will vote today to advance a Supreme Court ethics bill following reports of justices accepting undisclosed gifts. Ranking member Lindsey Graham slammed Democrats for pushing the legislation, arguing it's unconstitutional. Graham says it's up to the Supreme Court to get their house in order. Texas Senator Ted Cruz says Democrats want to smear and delegitimize the court over recent high-profile decisions they disagree with. 2 Kane County men are accused of removing catalytic converters from more than 35 vehicles across northern Illinois. State Attorney General Kwame Raoul's office has charged Pedro Mendoza and Octavio Goita with theft and aggravated possession of a stolen motor vehicle. Raul claims that from August of 2021 through March of 2022, the suspects worked together to steal catalytic converters from vehicles in Cook, DuPage, Kane, DeKalb, Henry, Lake, and Winnebago counties. And a single winning ticket in the billion-dollar Powerball lottery has been sold in Los Angeles. The lucky winner or winners can choose between $1 billion in annuity payments or go for the lump sum payment of about $516 million. News is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today.
Mike Gallagher sees support waning.
It's Maureen Dowd in the New York Times. Do you recognize the significance of Maureen Dowd from the New York Times turning against Joe Biden? Wow! You understand, these aren't conservative publications turning on him. The liberal media is turning on Biden. He ain't going to be the nominee.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's time to wake up, Illinois. This is Shannon Adcock with Awake, Illinois. On June 5th, I had the pleasure of appearing on Fox Business's Evening Edit with Liz McDonald to discuss how Biden, Pritzker, and the Democrats are failing our kids. While Biden is ignoring the existence of a 7th grandchild, he isn't focused on America's kids either. He prefers to collude with the nation's teacher unions, aka the wicked cabals that are donors to leftist Democrat politicians. The Post-Millennial recently published how the NEA teacher union adopted an LGBTQ-centric amendment at a meeting earlier this month, and the price tag is $583,000. Documents reviewed by the Post-Millennial from the NEA meeting show that the new measure will further entrench groups like the trans-focused Human Rights Campaign, the trans-teen-focused Trevor Project, and the global trans group GLSEN into curriculum and policy. While literacy and math scores are the lowest they've been in decades, Lurie Children's Hospital and the various school-based sexuality clubs are working very hard to talk to your kids about puberty blockers, chest binders, and the pseudoscience that Europe has already canceled, known as gender-affirming care. Well, let us affirm this for you. This is a war on children, and we parents have had enough. To put your parental rights on record prior to the start of the school year, visit www.awakeil.com/forms. Also be sure to check out the Awake Americans Woke 101 event recording and toolkit available at awakeamericans.org. The time is now to defend your values. For Awake Illinois and Awake Americans, I'm Shannon Adcock, and we cannot be canceled.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scan, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Well, I've been taking it for some time. We saw the ad, and we thought we would give it a try. And I noticed after the first month, we had more energy, and we just felt better. I told my doctor, too, and she said, this sounds like a really good, healthy product for you to be taking. We plan to take it for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. President Biden has been working to remake the U.S. economy all in the name of climate change. The price of energy and everything else has skyrocketed. The U.S. is no longer energy independent. Gas stoves are under siege. We're being pushed toward expensive and inconvenient electric cars. New regulations aimed at air conditioners are on the way. Our quality of life is being eroded even as nothing is demanded from China, far and away the world's greatest polluter. Now, a United Nations report reveals that the world's temperatures haven't even risen for the past 15 years. And leaked documents seen by the Associated Press prove politicians urge scientists to cover up that very important fact. Global warming hysteria provides a convenient pretext for politicians to seize enormous amounts of power. We saw it during COVID. We shouldn't be so quick to give in.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually, speeding catches up with you.
Turbulent times call for clear-headed insight. That's hard to come by these days, especially on TV. That's where we come in. The new Salem News Channel, the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. Home to the people you trust. Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Refreshingly honest, always unfiltered. Streaming free on your TV 24/7. Intelligent analysis for intelligent people. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. Eastbound 8094, still heavy. Calumet to Burr with an accident. 3 left lanes are blocked, and there is a gapers delay on the other side between 65 and Burr. Also a stall right after Broadway. And the Eisenhower 15 minutes from 390 into the post office. Stevenson inbound trip 40 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Dan Ryan inbound at 20 minutes, 95th on and express lanes tight, 51st to the Chinatown feeder, and northbound DuSable Lakeshore Drive, stop and go Roosevelt to Balbo, scattered delays on the northbound side of the Tri-State, also eastbound Jane Addams, a crash right at Higgins blocking the right lane. Traffic is a service of MyPillow. Big news. The MyPillow employees want to thank you by giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. Queen size MyPillows, regular price at $69.98, now only $19.98 with promo code Amy. Visit MyPillow.com and use promo code Amy. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sun and clouds, early morning thunderstorm. Otherwise breezy day today, high 87. Partly cloudy, less humid tonight, low 63. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, high 81. A thunderstorm on Saturday, high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We brought this to you yesterday, had a bit of a discussion about it, but I think it bears a revisiting, particularly in light of our next guest, Heather McDonald, because it's such a key observation about the nature of the trans movement. This is from Helen Joyce. She is an editor at The Economist. And it's a bit surprising she is, because that is not exactly a conservative publication. But she sat down for an interview with former Portland State professor Peter Boghossian. And the conversation was in part about this social contagion called the trans movement. And here's what Helen Joyce had to say about it, why it is so pernicious and unrelenting and will continue to be unrelenting.
Something that you may not have thought of is that there's a lot of people who can't move on this, because that's the people who've transitioned their own children. So those people are going to be like, the Japanese soldiers who were on Pacific Islands and didn't know the war was over.
Right.
They've got to fight forever. This is another reason why this is the worst social contagion that we'll ever have experienced. A lot of people have done the worst thing that you could do, which is to harm their children irrevocably because of it. Those people will have to believe that they did the right thing for the rest of their lives, for their own sanity and for their own self-respect. So they'll still be fighting. And each one of those people destroys entire organizations and entire friendship groups. Like, I've lost count of the number of times that somebody has said to me of a specific organization that has got turned upside down on this. Oh, the deputy director has a trans child, or, oh, the journalist on that paper who does special investigations has a trans child, or whatever. The entire organization gets paralyzed by that one person, and it may not even be widely known at the organization that they have a trans child, but it will come out. Like, people will have sort of said it quietly, and now you can't talk truth in front of that person, and you can't. Because what you're saying is, you as a parent have done a truly, human rights abuse level of awful thing to your child that cannot be fixed. There are specific individuals who are really actively against women's rights here, and it's not known why they are, but I happen to know through the back channels that it's because they've trans their child. And so those people will do anything for the entire rest of their lives to destroy me and people like me, because people like me are a standing reproach to them. I don't want to be. I'm not talking directly to them. I don't spend my time bitching about them. But the fact is that just simply by saying we will never accept NATO males in women's spaces, well, it's their son that we're talking about. And they've told their son that he can get himself sterilized and destroy his sexual function, and women will accept him as a woman. And if we don't, there's no way back for them and their child. They've sold their child a bill of goods that they can't deliver on. And I'm the one who has to be bullied to try to force me to deliver on it. So those people are going to be the people who will keep this bloody movement going, I'm sorry to say, because they've everything to lose. And it's a fight to the death as far as they're concerned.
Heather McDonald has an excellent piece over at City Journal, city-journal.org, on this topic. Miss Netherlands is the face of Western self-cancellation, that is, anti-civilization. And as we talked about this story before, she's referencing the newly crowned Miss Netherlands, who's a dude. Heather McDonald is the Thomas W. Smith Fellow at the Manhattan Institute. She's the author of The War on Cops, as well as The Diversity Delusion. Heather, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. My most recent book is When Race Trumps Merit. That's just out.
Oh, okay, great. When Race Trumps Merit. Got it. put that in the queue as well. And your reaction to Miss Lynch and what she had to say about this social contagion.
It's extraordinarily insightful, and just means that we are in a very catch-22. We have the same leveraging of emotional hijacking when people say, the pediatrics say, well, do you want a dead son or a live daughter? Making us responsible for the problems of these families, of these pediatricians. We are not responsible, but they exercise this extraordinary power of us, just as we allow adolescents to wield the thing and have the thing that they most long for, which is power. You can put adults under your thumb by bashing them about your pronouns. You know, if they slip up, then you get to crush them. And so this is a heady thing for adolescents. And I would say this is the strangest moment in all of human history. In millennia of human history, there is nothing weirder than this point, when we have achieved so much in scientific understanding. You know, for millennia, it was simply a matter of common sense that there were the basic distinction in human life is between males and females. That common sense and experiential understanding has been backed up now by the most sophisticated genetic analysis. I mean, we understand that to change somebody's sex, you're going to have to change every trillion of their cells to change the chromosomes inside each cell. And so we understand this scientifically more than ever before, and yet we are now discarding that knowledge completely. It is absolutely bizarre, and I struggle for explanations. And I'm not usually prone to large conspiracy-type explanations for things, Dan, that would presuppose that people have gotten together and agreed on something that they clearly haven't. But the explanation that I ultimately reached to, because you can't be too radical in trying to explain this, is that it is about Western self-annihilation. It is another twist on the Great Replacement theory that for some reason Western civilization is trying to efface itself. And so we're trying to make as many young people of European stock either literally infertile. We are engaging in the most grotesque, sadistic, Frankenstein-like mutilation of their bodies, or the chemical castration, and the idea that puberty blockers are reversible is preposterous.
Yeah.
We're either rendering them incapable of reproducing or uninterested in reproducing. Because you see now, 40% of a class comes out as LGBTQ, again, because that is the quickest way to status and power. But basically, if they live by that, they are not going to be reproducing. And so the West is trying to shut itself down.
So, don't you think that this trans movement is I was told that it's the new civil rights movement of this generation? Do you believe that?
No, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is clearly a social contagion. It is willed behavior. The left gets to set the default all the time. They all of a sudden declare that we should regard mutilation as gender-affirming care, or that children should be exposed to grotesque, sexualized content at age 5. That becomes the new norm. That becomes the new right. And if the conservatives or Republicans push back in ever so meek a manner, they're the ones who are waging the culture war. They're on the aggressive, and we're portrayed as the ones that are trying to upset some long-standing human arrangement. That's preposterous. Preposterous. This is an idea that represents a nanosecond of a millisecond of a fractional second of billions of years of human development. It is a insanity. It is not some matter of deep human rights. And and for us to be at the behest and feeding young children with ideas, that somehow we're supposed to believe that gender is a construct, and we're also supposed to believe, as the California Department of Education tells us, that a 2-year-old already knows that he's a different sex, that he's been assigned at birth. Well, how does he know that? If these things are purely artificial constructs, he has no experience of being a female. And this would suggest that there's some kind of platonic form of male or femaleness, which with these toddlers somehow intuit. I reject that entirely, but the whole trans creed is completely self-contradictory. The definitions are circular. It toggles between a ridiculous constructivism with this ridiculous circumlocution that sex is assigned at birth, and then claims that would only make sense if there are somehow platonic ideals of what it is to be male and female. And it's also very weird, with this Miss Netherlands contest, and we've had so-called trans females in beauty pageants before. It turns out that when males want to be female, they gravitate to the most allegedly regressive stereotypes of female. The drag queen is just the embodiment of the shrill, hysterical, boobs out, 6-inch layers of fake eyelashes, arms waving, Phyllis Diller type hysteria.
Right. Yeah.
And it's the same with the trans beauty contest. They're all there with their come hither looks and whatnot. I thought we were supposed to be beyond that. I remember as a female in the 70s, getting all hot-headed about beauty contests, and you don't open the door for me, you male chauvinist pig. I'm an equal female. I'm an equal male to you. And now, the quintessential female that we're all supposed to be celebrating, according to the trans head of the Miss Universe contest, is like Barbie doll pre-women's liberation. It's quite extraordinary.
And look at Dylan Mulvaney. I mean, women don't act like that. And if any of us, if you or I acted like that in our lives, we would lose our jobs.
Exactly. That's the drag queen. So you can't cultural appropriate. If you're interested as a painter in Japanese woodblock prints, that's cultural appropriation. How dare you use Japanese traditions? But if you're a male and you want to gender appropriate female stereotypes, then you're going to be celebrated. So the only people who can get away with appropriation these days are drag performers and transvestites.
Well, and
go ahead.
No, and I mean, among the contradictions, the internal contradictions of this contagion, as you wrote about, to the extent that people say it's the civil rights issue of our time. Well, as you point out, we can eliminate it. All you have to do is have all men identify as women, and then there's no reason to have a discussion about women's rights.
Right. It makes the whole idea. They're in Congress now. They're trying to revive the Equal Rights Amendment in order to get another federal right to abortion. And Chuck Schumer said, well, if you look at how women are being mistreated today and the threat they're under, well, what's a woman? If men can all become women, so there will be no more oppressor, or women can all decide not to be women and be men. The idea of rights was immutable characteristics, which is to be black or Asian or white or male or female. But if this is a mutable characteristic, then you don't have the same claim to civil rights protections. But again, I mean, I just find it amazing. The left sets the agenda, the left sets the default, the left gets the new norms, and then we're all playing defense in coming way after the fact. So we're engaged now in these very earnest discussions about, well, what is the degree of gender dysphoria? Nobody was talking about this 10 years ago. Judith Butler, the queen of gender theory that got the ball rolling, said that in the 90s, nobody was talking about the trans. This is a recent concoction, and now we're all pretending like this is an absolute basic human truth. It is not. It is an absolute weird perversion of human understanding of biology of truth that is geared to shutting down Western civilization. The other side of the pincer movement of the self-annihilation is, of course, mass third world immigration. And so the West is simply trying to put itself out of existence.
On the topic of Western self-cancellation, I should say, I wanted to get your take because I can't believe this is not getting more coverage. Education. You wrote your new book, When Race Trumps Merit. How about when it pertains to New York City teachers? $1.8 billion settlement. Teachers union washing money, New York City is doing. $1.8 billion for teachers who failed basically a competency test because it was allegedly culturally biased, and the city has conceded the point, and the litigation is ending. You have teachers who've been interviewed, $2 million payouts that are unintelligible. They can't communicate, much less obviously pass this test. Your reaction to that settlement?
We are tearing down excellence. We are tearing down merit. We are making ourselves absolutely non-competitive on the world scientific stage, all because of the idea of disparate impact. We are tearing down every single meritocratic standard because it has a disparate impact on blacks. We are going around proclaiming ourselves racist. We are not. The problem is not the standards. It's the academic skills gap. It is absurd. This test was not racist. There are no longer racist, if there ever were, tests out there. All they are asking is the most basic command of arithmetic and reading skills. The problem is that here's the data, Dan and Amy. 66% of black 12th graders don't possess even partial mastery of basic 12th grade math skills, meaning they cannot do arithmetic, they cannot read a graph. 66%. The number of black 12th graders who are advanced in math nationally is too small to show up statistically. That's the problem. That's why they are not passing teachers' licensing exams, which are the easiest tests out there. And what I am so sick of hearing from black leaders is lower the standards on our behalf. How about they say, we will meet your standards? How about they tell their communities, study harder, take your textbooks home, pay attention in class, don't run the streets. But instead, the demand is always get rid of the tests. We've seen this in firefighting exams, police exams, basic cognitive skills to make sure police officers can follow and understand a patrol guide, or firefighters can figure out the chemistry of their firefighting materials. And those tests have disparate impact on blacks. Again, the tests are not racist. Merit, the concept of excellence, is not racist, and yet we would rather go around blaming ourselves for phantom racism than look at the pathologies of inner city culture that lead to disparate impact, and this is true in the criminal law as well. The reason we're tearing down prosecution, the reason we're not putting people in jail, the reason police are told not to make arrests, car stops, pedestrian stops, is because doing so will have a disparate impact on black criminals, not because the law is racist. The law is not racist. The problem is the behavior, not the standards.
She is Heather Mac Donald, Thomas W. Smith Fellow at the Manhattan Institute, author of the following books, pick them all up, including a new one, The War on Cops, The Diversity Delusion, and the newest, When Race Trumps Merit. Heather Mac Donald, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
It's a pleasure, and she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. Turbulent times call for clear-headed insight. That's hard to come by these days, especially on TV. That's where we come in. The new Salem News Channel, the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. Home to the people you trust. Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Refreshingly honest, always unfiltered. Streaming free on your TV 24/7. Intelligent analysis for intelligent people. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
What if being in recovery from a mental or substance use disorder was something we proudly showed the world? Millions of people are in recovery, sharing hope and support with family, friends, and community. Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com. On the AM 560 mobile app. Tune in, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
A Democrat challenging President Biden takes center stage on Capitol Hill. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will testify this hour before the House committee investigating what Republicans claim is the weaponization of the federal government. At issue today, political censorship. Kennedy, a presidential candidate, had his COVID posts taken down, though he claims
nothing I put on the internet was misinformation, but it was just politically inconvenient, and that's not what we do in America.
Democrats don't want to hear from Kennedy. They tried to get Republicans to disinvite him from the hearing.
Congressman Jerry Connolly told Politico that RFK Jr.'s appearance is another example of Republicans, quote, having crackpots for witnesses. Democrats have also pointed to Kennedy falsely claiming COVID-19 was ethnically targeted to attack certain groups and spare Jewish and Chinese people.
Fox's Rich Edson, a Pfizer facility, so twisted apart mess along with other damage around the Rocky Mount, North Carolina area the day after a tornado hit, destroying thousands of pallets of drugs at the facility.
More than 100 or so vehicles may have been damaged in the plant, and there were employees inside. Pfizer telling us their colleagues followed the established safety protocols. They were able to evacuate, and everyone is safe and accounted for.
Fox Weather's Nicole Valdez. More than a dozen people in the area were injured. Drama just before the Women's World Cup. A gunman in Auckland, New Zealand, killed 2 people and injured 6 others.
These kind of situations move fast, and the actions of those who risk their lives to save others are nothing short of heroic.
Prime Minister Chris Hipkins, the gunman's also dead, so with no threat anymore, the World Cup started. New Zealand beat Norway in the opening soccer game. There was a small drop in unemployment last week. First time jobless claims fell to 228,000. But someone in Los Angeles, California, can quit their job if they haven't already, after winning $1.08 billion with the only ticket matching all the Powerball numbers, the 6th largest U.S. lottery prize ever. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 73 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. The White House says it's working for the release of a U.S. soldier after he allegedly crossed into North Korea.
The White House, Department of Defense, the State Department, and the UN are all continuing to work together on this matter.
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says that the Biden administration is actively working to make sure that 23-year-old U.S. Army Private Travis King will safely return. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said that King is in North Korean custody after crossing the border willfully and without authorization. An investigation continues after a 10-year-old boy was thrown from a carnival ride in Antioch this past weekend. The child was hospitalized following the incident Sunday at the Antioch Chamber of Commerce's Taste of Antioch Carnival. Antioch police obtained a search warrant and secured possession of the Moby Dick ride. The Illinois Department of Labor has also concluded its follow-up inspection of the ride, which is owned and has been operated by All Around Amusement in Lockport. The child's road recovery is expected to take a significant amount of time. Chicago aldermen are exploring a pilot program for municipal snow and ice removal from sidewalks. The city council approved a resolution yesterday that would create a working group for the program. The pilot municipal snow and ice removal program will serve as a test for a citywide initiative to clear the sidewalks during the winter season. Supporters hope to launch the program in late 2024. News is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the AM 560 Business Beat.
I'm Susan Lee, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Goldman Sachs is reporting a mixed quarter. Its earnings were down from last year and were weaker than Wall Street was predicting, though its revenue held up better than expected. Goldman handles merger deals and it had fewer close in the period. Estee Lauder says it's been hacked by an unauthorized third party. and it's impacting some of its business operations. The beauty giant says it's securing systems and will take additional steps. Microsoft shares are rallying after closing at a record. It will work with Meta Platforms on its Copilot artificial intelligence tool. Used car seller Carvana says it has a deal with its lenders to improve its financial position. Also, Carvana's loss was smaller than expected for the spring quarter, and sales were holding up better than forecast. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Dennis Prager explains the significance of talk radio.
Talk radio is enormous. Talk radio has a larger audience than Tucker Carlson does. We are more the last best hope on earth, as Lincoln described America, than ever in our history.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Worried about basement flooding? It's time to call Permaseal Basement Systems at 800-421-7325.
Dennis Prager here. Sue and I mean it when we say dogs are part of our family, and there's nothing like their loyal companionship. So we provide them with Rough Greens, RUFF, because we want them to feel healthy and be with us as long as possible. I know Charlie Kirk feels the same way.
The Pragers and I couldn't agree more. I rely on my trusted furry friend, Mr. Briggs, who's an absolute machine, and he relies on me to provide what's best for him. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black has packed Rough Greens, not a dog food, but a supplement full of vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, and omega oils that Mr. Briggs absolutely needs and loves. Trying Rough Greens for your dog just makes sense.
Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here. I'm honored that the Pragers and Charlie trust their dog's health to Rough Green. I'm so confident that Rough Green can help your dog too that I'm offering you a free Jumpstart trial bag. Just cover the shipping. Yes, dog food is dead food, but it doesn't have to be. Go to ruffgreens.com.
All right, let's talk food. Let's talk summer food. You got the burgers, you got the hot dogs, you got the beef sandwiches, and let's not forget the combo. You got to have the combo. It's Chicago, baby. Anyone getting hungry besides me? That's what summer food tastes like in Chicago. Fantastic. It's the one thing we all love. But it's all high in, the bad stuff. Salt, sodium, lots of it. Which is when it comes to your high blood pressure, there's nothing worse. It's like sending your heart a get sick card. Now, don't toss away your grill. Just keep some balance. And to help get your blood pressure down, try 120 Life. That's what I do. They now have a new powdered drink mix. I'm drinking it and I love it. Scientifically formulated to help keep your blood pressure down. Plus, the new powdered drink, very, very good for you. It has 1 gram of sugar and 5 calories. 120 Life, the natural juice. It's a drink that works without the side effects of pill to control your blood pressure. Check out 120life.com. That's 120life.com and use coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% on your order. Plus, free shipping. And get this, you'll earn customer rewards point with every order. 120 Life. We need more stuff like this.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation's Let Us Do Good Village in Land O'Lakes, Florida, is a community that will have about 100 homes for the foundation's program participants. 2 families have already moved in. A Gold Star family and the family of a severely injured veteran moved into the community's first smart home. It's a special place where together families can heal. Make the Let Us Do Good Village the first of many communities like it. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
That huge data breach from a few weeks ago has probably moved off your radar, but your information could still be on the dark web. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious activity, like someone using your info. If there's a problem, LifeLock's U.S.-based identity restoration specialists will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but LifeLock will help protect your identity long after this breach is forgotten. Save up to 25% your first year. Use promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com.
In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads. 8094 eastbound still jammed. Burnham to Burr crash 3 left lanes and another crash eastbound as you approach Klein. Gapers delay westbound Central to Burr as well. Eastbound Jane Addams, that's tight as well from Elmhurst to Higgins. Another accident in the right lane, so it's slow into that. Tri-State scatter delays on the northbound trip. On the Edens going in 35, Lake Hook Road to Montrose, Kennedy hour 15, and from O'Hare to downtown in the Eisenhower about an hour and 5, 390 into the post office. Stevenson in 1 hour, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive, It is a 20-minute trip going inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th Street on in. Express lanes tight from the Skyway to the Chinatown feeder. Traffic is brought to you by Woodland Windows and Doors. When you welcome a Woodland sales expert into your home, you'll get a no-pressure sale, a product expert, a design consultant, and someone who has your best interests in mind. Visit woodlandwindows.com to get started. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
An early thunderstorm today, otherwise sun and clouds and breezy, high 87. Partly cloudy, less humid tonight, low 63. Partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, the high 81. And then a thunderstorm on Saturday, the high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So this circus that Northwestern University has unleashed on itself and probably some other universities around the country, if you've got some disgruntled former player who's got Ben Crump's phone number, they can do the same thing to your university that Northwestern's doing to themselves. That was the show yesterday. Ben Crump and all of his trial lawyer buddies and all of their clients rushing around to sign people up as they are.
Yeah, they're looking for more customers. That's what they're doing. But yesterday they had
clients,
8 more, or they had 8 people with them. They're representing 15 so far, but they said more are going to come forward, or they're going to try and recruit more onto this class action lawsuit. But Lloyd Yates, he went to Oak Park River Forest High School. He came in as a backup quarterback. Then they moved him to wide receiver. He only played in 2 games his entire career, recorded no stats. He was taking the lead. And what about the abuses that were going on?
We were thrown into a culture where physical, emotional, and sexual abuse was normalized. We wanted to fit in. We wanted to earn trust and respect. And if you went against that, you were an outcast. You were labeled, and it warranted further abuse.
And he went on to say that the coaches knew about it and took part. Well, if I was there at the press conference, what coaches? Name names.
Some of our coaches took part in it. The graphic, sexually intense behavior was well known.
And they said that they would make him get naked and simulate a snap with a football in the locker room. And that was the abuse. But he said he's been so traumatized, and has so much anxiety that he can't even watch football anymore.
Well, it's impressive that he was able to pull himself together 5 years after he graduated to show up for this press conference.
Ben Crump leading the press conference.
You had people holding them down, dry humping them. You had them being forced to participate in activities involving nudity.
Then why didn't somebody say something?
Nudity? Wait, there's nudity in a men's locker room?
I know.
What the?
But I mean, just like with the Sandusky, people saw him, in the shower with little boys. Like, if it was really, you have to stop it. When they say if you see something, say something, stop something. Here's why they didn't come forward. They were afraid of retaliation. Here's Tom Carnifax.
We lived in fear. I did 4 years of therapy while at school, as well as a few after. I'm still dealing with it. It's not going to fix it, but I think this is a little bit of closure.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
The self-immolation couldn't happen to a better group of people, but that's what this is. We were just talking with Heather McDonald about Western civilization's self-cancellation. That's what Northwestern is doing. Northwestern is in the process of canceling its sports programs and diminishing its status, something it covets the most, its status as an elite school in this country.
But
good.
It's not just football and baseball. That I was running errands all day, and I kept jumping in the car. And every time I jumped in the car and turned on, the latest news, now it's women's volleyball. Then it's girls softball.
I
And
told-
no, anyway, I'm not. There's
I
another
told-
sport, but they
I-
should just cancel sports at Northwestern.
I told you yesterday. All the coaches, all the sports are freaking out because you have these rapacious trial lawyers on the job looking for a huge payday, running around, passing their business cards like they're at a plane crash. And all you have to do is have one disgruntled player come forward, current or former, and say, toxic culture, hazing,
Buzzword
traumatizing, and
I have anxiety.
and you got another coach that's got to follow Fitzgerald and the baseball coach out the door, and you got another series of cases that potentially jeopardize the ongoing viability of your team, and thus your position as a coach as well. It can come from either way. And so that would, of course, it's going to include. I mean,
cheerleading too.
Of course,
that was the last one.
This happened under Jim Phillips. Remember the Northwestern cheerleaders, who, by the way, okay, come on, the allegations from former Northwestern cheerleaders. This isn't that long ago, where they were whoring us out to attend these events with boosters and so on and so forth, and Jim Phillips basically put an end to that. I mean, he got in trouble, so he got excoriated because he was sort of dismissive about it. But give me a break. Stop it.
Schools do that.
And so go ahead. Once you've established that all it takes is a claim, and you encourage the disgruntled to come out of the woodwork, pile on and get their piece of the action, why would it stop? Why would it stop? Not to mention you're being celebrated as courageous and, you're coming, oh my goodness, let's get in a drum circle. You train, these are, especially in the football program, I say again, Division I adult male athletes who've been trained to be killers. You think there's a little testosterone in the locker room of a Division I football program? Any football locker room. But Division I, Big Ten football locker room, is there a little testosterone? You have amped up young men who can't always leave it on the field. I mean, you see that in fraternities with what guys are put through to rush fraternities and stuff. And all this hazing, just, again, catch-all terms. We don't have to define anything. We don't have to add any context. We just throw out terms like hazing and bullying and trauma and write me a check. Fire that guy. I'm happy to hear anybody's buying. It seems like you're sort of somewhat buying it. See something, say something. What are you talking about?
Well,
Like comparing this to Sandusky?
Well,
Comparing it to
I'm
Sandusky?
saying because Sandusky, it was in the locker room and other people saw it and didn't stop it. That's what I'm saying. Like, man up. If you don't like what's going on, tell where's the captain of the gosh darn team? That's your role. If you don't like it, if you think that's hazing, maybe it's a ritual. Who knows? But no one has said anything. And now 5 years later, for some players, sometimes 8, 15 years later, now they're coming forward.
I talked to a friend of mine who's a member at the same club I am, who played in the NFL and was part of a national championship team when he was in college football. He's like, he scoffs at this. Well-respected program and all that. Yeah. He scoffs at this. He's telling Ty got taped to a goalpost. That was one thing. When I made it to the NFL, there was some other things, and so it's not even worth going through. I get that like dry humping or simulated dry humping in the locker room. It sounds gruesome, weird. Frankly, I certainly wouldn't be abiding it. But you handle it in the locker room.
Right.
These aren't like Class X felonies. You need hazing is if you're putting people's like physical safety in serious jeopardy. Okay, I get that. Yeah, obviously you can cross lines, and maybe what they're describing, if it happened as they're describing it, maybe it did cross the line. I'd like a little additional context. I'd also like to know what these traumatized victims did when they were upperclassmen
And saw it happening to the younger class.
or were doing it.
Or right.
We don't know because nobody asks the questions because they're too busy shedding crocodile tears with them over their trauma. I'm not buying it. Sorry. Not buying any of it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Marty, Naperville.
There's one on the news this morning. They thought it was funny showing this guy showing up to camp with no shirt on and a baseball bat with barbed wire wrapped around it. So there's your culture there in professional football. And number two, I was on a job site yesterday, forced to listen to the score. And boy, you got to hear these guys with this Northwestern, especially the smartest man in the world, this Dan Bernstein, who will tell you he is so smart that he can't thrust his knowledge onto the world. He has to be a sports talk show host. You should hear these guys. They want to burn the whole thing down, just torch the entire university. It's unbelievable, man. It's just, and they just keep throwing the race card around in this thing. It doesn't seem they're worried about the sexual thing and guys bending over. They're all worried about this race thing, and I don't know what the race.
No one
thing
brought
would
up
be.
race. Oh, they did say yesterday because I watched the press conference that Pat Fitzgerald made them cut their hair, but he didn't make white players cut their hair.
It's
that's
absurd. The whole thing's absurd.
We got a great.
Yates said it was devastating to many players of color. Some have what? Why? Why was it more devastating to allegedly more devastating to players of color? We don't know. Why? Because he said it is. Ben Crump. It's a civil right. This is a civil rights issue for me. Northwestern athletes, male and female, 50 of them. They have a right to be respected and valued and not hazed, intimidated, retaliated. How's that a civil rights issue? What? But it doesn't matter. They just say these things. All they are is buzz words and buzz phrases. And I understand the guys at the Score have threatened to have sex with Pat Fitzgerald's mother in response to what's happened allegedly happened under his watch. The Score and what Marty's describing and these phony sports journalists in quotation marks. How many times do I have to be proven right about this? They are just the Bush League to the Chicago News political press corps. They so want to be taken seriously. They are panty waists and frustrated athletes, if they ever were athletes, except for the actual pro athletes that are on some of the shows. But I'm not talking about Tom Waddle. I'm talking about these couch potatoes with room temperature intellects like these Danny Pankinses of the world and these Dan Bernsteins of the world and Matt Spiegel and these other. I mean, they're a joke. They're just more of the leftist chorus in this city. And of course they want Northwestern burned down. Of course they do. Because it's a place they could never get into. It's a place that's dominated by rich people. I mean, we went through their board of trustees yesterday. It's a place it's a place that is somewhat exclusive. And so, of course, and it's so easy to moralize against. I'm moralizing against too, but from a completely different perspective. Because they are cowards. I find them reprehensible because they are cowards, not because they are wealthy or privileged or whatever.
Got a great text message. Dan and Amy, these Northwestern men are transitioning with the help of lawyers, not doctors.
John in Lake Como, Wisconsin.
Hey, Marty, I'll see you in a couple days. What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm Marty's brother, by the way.
Oh, great.
It's a family thing.
Family affair, yeah.
We listen every day. But just change the name of them to the Northwestern Pussy Cats and add some rainbow color to the pretty purple logo they got there. Well, I'll be square.
There you go. I like it.
We got 5 sports so far, plus cheer. So I don't know if they're going to even have a sports program in the future.
Used to be called the Mild Cats, now Pussy Cats.
Oh.
Yeah.
He had cats?
Pussycat Dolls.
Nah.
Maybe they can get who's the front girl for the Pussycat Dolls again?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? She was one of the judges on American
maybe.
Idol for a while. She's like a star.
Heidi
some
Klum?
sort.
No.
What?
Katy Perry. I don't know. I've never Pussycat Doll. Okay, hold on.
Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? That song.
Oh. Nicole. Oh.
Say her last name.
Nicole Scherzinger.
Well, pretty good.
Thank you, Dad.
Jennifer, South Suburbs.
Hi. I think your comments are very insensitive. You have not heard these young men have not had an opportunity to present their case in court, but you think that the victims of any type of abuse should humble themselves, go to a police station, and then stand in front of all of America on national television and tell all of the harsh facts of the abuse so that you can be satisfied?
I don't know
Before
what
they get a day in court.
I don't know what you're talking
Before
about.
they get it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
These young men-
First of all, who went to the police department?
This is not a criminal.
Well, it could be, but who went to a police
It's
department?
not yours to, right. It's not yours to determine if it's criminal or not. They went to where they thought they could get someone to represent their
Really?
case.
Really?
A police would not represent their case, but
Well, really? So
for them
so
to win,
you know? So who
they
went to
have
the?
to bring
I
back-
asked you a question. Who went to a police department?
the police will take.
Who went to a police department?
The lawyer will have to take it to the police.
No, they don't.
The lawyer
What
will
are you
have to
talking
take it.
about? You don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about.
come
Has
back.
your daughter
Come
ever
back,
been?
Jennifer.
Has your daughter ever accused of rape? I mean, has your daughter ever accused anyone of rape?
What
Has
does
your
that have
daughter
to do
ever
with this
accused
case?
anyone
What
of
does that have to do
sexual
with this
abuse?
case? What
Okay,
does that
well,
have to
where
do with
would
this
you
case?
want her to go?
Keep yelling
Where
at
would you
me.
want her to go?
Keep screaming your ignorance
Where-
from the mountaintop.
Where would you want your wife or your son?
My
who's
wife
been
or my
abused
son? I'm
to
I'm
go?
talking about this specific
Where would
case.
you want them to go?
I'm talking.
Okay, you want them to play out the facts of their case on national television?
They're
so
choosing
you can be
to-
satisfied?
they're choosing
They're
to
not.
do it right now. What are you talking about?
They are choosing to present a case.
They were at a press
and that case will
conference.
They were at a press conference because they desire justice. And behind closed doors, all universities protect their brand, they protect their athletic programs, they protect their donors. They don't protect the young people who sacrifice their skills and their talents to bring it to that court, to bring it onto their playing field. So these young people deserve a day in court. They do not deserve to be tried in the public.
Please spare me. Spare me with you're not allowed to talk about it. You're allowed to talk about it, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. Well, you're not allowed to talk about any case before it goes to a court of law. I love that sophistry. Okay, so can we talk about Trump's indictments, or do we have to shut up until he has his day in court? Can we talk about the investigation into Hunter Biden, or do we have to shut up until the plea agreement is accepted or rejected by the judge? Asinine. But this is a good example of what you're dealing with. Police department. Nobody went to the police department. I haven't heard that. Why not?
Because
Ramon Ortiz, one of the accusers, he graduated in 2008. The guys you heard from in this press conference, 2018, 5 years. They didn't go to a police department. Not that I've heard. Have you heard? No.
Not a criminal
The attorneys are going to have to take it to the police? No, they're not. It's a civil matter. It's a payday. Why would they lie? Because it's a payday. Because they're disgruntled. Because as one player told another player, part of the coverage that you don't want to address, Jennifer and others, there's one player that I identified yesterday as a former backup quarterback from California named Clay Richardson, who graduated in 22, I think, had it out for Fitzgerald. I want to get Fitzgerald fired. There's no other motivations. No, nobody can have any other motivations except they're truly traumatized. It took 5 years for the kid from Oak Park River Forest to build up the courage to appear before news cameras to say, I can't watch football anymore. Yeah, you're not allowed to question them. This is my point. You're only allowed to celebrate, which is why you can't assess any of the cases in terms of their credibility. Why nobody's asking Ramon Ortiz, what about the interview you gave 2 years after you graduated, where you talked about your struggles at home and what you overcame and so on and so forth? every opportunity to talk about the Northwestern football program, and said nothing about it except positive things 3 years ago. So
praise Fitzgerald, his coach, on Twitter.
12 years after he graduated. You know, Wildcats forever and all this. Fitzgerald builds men of character. And now today it's, oh my gosh, traumatized, people of color, civil rights. No questions about that. 15 years this has been going on and nobody knew about it. And nobody brought it to anybody's attention. It's been going on since Fitzgerald was there? Is that right? Oh, and by the way, what about the hundreds of other players that have gone through that program? Who have good things to say or nothing to say? They're just not as courageous as these players? Is that it? Is that what I'm supposed to believe? Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. You know, I'm with you. This is just a load of crap. And you know what? Jim Phillips got the hell out of Dodge when the getting out was good. But the one thing that I want to know from all these clowns who are, bitching and whining, and Ben Crump's going to buy a new Lamborghini as a result of this,
right?
Is when are these guys, are these guys going to pay back the tuition that they got for free for 4 years of free everything at Northwestern University? Are these guys going to come up with $250,000 that they got in scholarships that all these football players get?
Well, I'm not saying they have to pay anything back. I mean, there's they got scholarship. They went there. They had a good experience. They didn't have a good experience. They like Fitzgerald. They don't like Fitzgerald. I mean, the deal was the deal. That's fine. But they're not entitled to a windfall based on the case that's been presented so far.
Exactly.
That's my point. Thanks for the call, Greg. And again, no questions about them. What did they do? Not only why didn't they come forward sooner?
Right. That's what I would have asked. And also, did you participate in hazing when you were an upperclassman?
Did you?
And what coach? You say coaches are there. What? Who participated in this?
Give us everything.
Tell us.
So I know, they'll court. They're not going to have their day in court.
No.
Because Northwestern is going to settle these cases.
But that's what they want. Put the pressure on them so they settle quick, sooner rather than later.
Anybody who claims they're a victim is a victim. That's the standard of analysis being applied here.
Mm-hmm.
Greg in Rogers Park.
There's a line I like. There are no victims, only volunteers. The other thing, too, now is, Dan, I want to ask you, because Marty covered it in the media, do you think a lot of these local politicians here, like the Jan Zakowskis and everything, are putting pressure on these students and the newspaper there and everything just to get rid of these coaches because they go against their ideologue?
No.
Pat Fitzgerald wasn't political.
Not at all. I don't.
The university is as left as you can be.
Well, all universities seem to be.
Well, pretty much. And you don't put pressure on. Who needs to put pressure on anybody? They share a brain. You know what to do. Fold. You know what to do. Cower. You know what to do. Cut people's throats to save the institution. Save what?
And I want to apologize. I did not mean to compare goofing around in a locker room to child molestation. But I'm saying when things happen in locker rooms or anywhere and you don't like it and you feel uncomfortable, say something. And if you see something bad going on, stop it.
It was so systemic and so horrid that you got a player from 22, you got one player from 2018, you got another player from 2008, and you got players that were teammates of theirs on those teams. So the overwhelming majority, that's not interesting to anybody. Okay. Coming up at 8:38, speaking of getting rid of sports, maybe altogether, at least north of the Mason-Dixon line. Doesn't seem like the blue states can handle it. How about getting rid of country music, too? That seems something else the left is intent on. The latest target, Jason Aldean, 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 73 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. A single winning ticket in the $1 billion Powerball lottery has been sold in Los Angeles. The lucky winner or winners can choose between $1 billion in annuity payments or go for the lump sum payment of about $516 million. It's the second time in 8 months a Powerball ticket worth at least $1 billion was sold in Los Angeles County. Several former Northwestern football players are coming forward with allegations describing a culture of hazing within the program. The ex-players detailed the emotional, physical, and sometimes sexual abuse they suffered while playing football for the Wildcats.
The graphic, sexually intense behavior was well known throughout the program. We were physically and emotionally beaten down.
High-profile civil rights attorney Ben Crump and a team of lawyers representing more than 15 ex-student athletes are planning a lawsuit. They said the hazing within the athletic program also impacted the baseball and softball teams. Football coach Patrick Fitzgerald and baseball coach Jim Foster were both fired after the hazing scandal went public earlier this month. News is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher, The Mike Gallagher Show.
Have you heard about Hunter Biden's text message to a Chinese business associate?
I don't know if it's going to break through. The mainstream media has an excuse again not to cover it. They're covering everything about Russia and the Wagner Group.
That's how pitiful and corrupt and despicable they are.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
When it comes to remodeling your home, are you picky, fussy, persnickety, particular, demanding, and just downright hard to please? Do you value quality over speed? Getting it done right over just getting it done? Well then, Mr. and Mrs. Persnickety, do yourself a favor and check out Forever Remodeling. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. To call us perfectionists would be understating our attention to detail. If you said we were OCD when it comes to creating spectacular kitchens, bathrooms, basements, and additions, we'd be guilty as charged. Forever Remodeling takes the time to meticulously get the job done exactly right. So if you're a stickler for details, if your standards are ridiculously high, then check out Forever Remodeling. We can promise you a best of the best of the best experience. Our number is 847-809-3355 or go to foreverremodeling.com. Foreverremodeling.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Well, I've been taking it for some time. We saw the ad, and we thought we would give it a try. And I noticed after the first month, we had more energy, and we just felt better. I told my doctor, too, and she said, this sounds like a really good, healthy product for you to be taking. We plan to take it for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
When this is the sound of a crackling campfire on a cool evening, you can sit back and relax. But when it's the sound of your counters and cabinets smoking and smoldering following a house fire that's affected your entire kitchen, you need to pick up the phone and call 1-800-SERVPRO. Only the cleanup and restoration specialists at ServPro can help make fire and water damage like it never even happened. So make the call to 1-800-ServPro when fire damage strikes. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Test Director Rick from ServPro, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. It's my job to make sure our pros are prepared for anything. Storm damage? Fixed. Flood damage? We're on it. Fire damage? Not anymore. Aliens? What aliens? We cleaned those sites a while ago. No matter the disaster, our pros will make it like it never even happened. Find out why ServPro is the #1 choice for residential and commercial restoration projects large and small. Visit servpro.com today.
In the Team Hopper Traffic Center, I'm Jill Urchak taking a look at the roads in Round Lake Beach. Rollins Road between 83 and Hook Drive closed with a crash. Eastbound 8094 remains jammed Torrance to Indianapolis. Crash in the left lane. Also, another accident to watch for westbound Jane Addams right at Barrington. Inbound Eden's 30 minutes in from Lake Hook Road to Montrose. Kennedy, hour and 25, O'Hare into downtown. And the Eisenhower 1 hour and 20, 390 into the post office. Going in on the Stevenson, 50 minutes to DuSable Lakeshore Drive from the Veterans Memorial. And the Dan Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th Street in. Express lanes tightening up Garfield to the Chinatown ramp. Also seeing delays along DuSable Lakeshore Drive in the Tri-State in both directions, and also on the Veterans Memorial northbound, tight into Ogden. Traffic is sponsored by Irish Spring, the fresh scent of Irish Spring. And those sensational Irish Spring suds are just the reset you need to own the day. Irish Spring, when the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring at your local retailer today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sun and clouds, early morning thunderstorm, otherwise breezy day today, high 87, partly cloudy, less humid tonight, low 63, partly sunny, terrific day tomorrow, high 81, a thunderstorm on Saturday, high 84. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So in the last couple of weeks, we had that entertainment critic and the Post-Dispatch who couldn't bring himself to go see Morgan Wallen when he came to St. Louis because he's never forgiven him for
saying the
a
alleged
racial
N-word.
epithet from a decade ago or wherever. And, went on to this whole...
Well, he should lose his job for that, because sometimes you have to cover stories you don't normally want to cover, but you have to do it if you're a reporter.
Well, he covered it in a way. He went on to basically say they shouldn't be forgiven, and BIPOC this and identitarian that, and so on and so forth. And then we had Luke Combs getting raked over the coals by some Washington Post music critic. His cover of Tracy Chapman's Fast Car is creating complicated emotions among some who know that a black gay woman could never have achieved what Luke Combs did. Well, she got a couple of Grammys out of it, Best New Artist, so on and so forth. But anyway, and not to mention Tracy Chapman was thrilled for Luke Combs' success, thrilled that he covered her song and introduced it to a country audience.
Made $1 million.
Thrilled for $500,000 or so in royalties so far.
And
but
she's going to get more than that.
Anything that resembles manliness is toxic in this culture. To listen to the cultural mavens tell it, and
they associate country music with red states, Republicans, and Trump.
Jason Aldean is the latest. He's got this song, Try That in a Small Town.
Oh, I love it now.
It's a little ditty that goes something like this.
Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round up. Well, that might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend
Well, so CMT has pulled the video.
Yeah. It's barred from their airwaves.
And Sheryl Crow is upset. That's the most important thing.
Oh, we don't want to upset Pretty Princess.
Sheryl Crow and her, what did she do? One square of toilet paper? Because she's saving the planet.
Yes, she's very environmentally friendly. And she doesn't drink water out of water bottles because she does believe that is how she got cancer.
Mhm.
And she's also saving the planet by not doing that, by using reusable water bottles.
Is she still going with Steroid Bicycle Boy?
No, they ended
Oh,
their
I'm sorry to hear that.
relationship.
I'm from a small town. She directed her comments at Jason Aldean online. Even people in small towns are sick of violence. There's nothing small town or American about promoting violence. You should know better than anyone having survived a mass shooting. I don't think that's the message of the song,
No.
promoting violence. And the video is taken down, and this characterization that's promoting violence is because it just has basically a collage of the violence that you've seen on America's streets
That you've
over
seen
the
in
last couple of years.
Chicago. I think there was a clip, wasn't there, from like it's Antifa. It just shows, small towns being taken over by people who are upset at something. So let's barge into somebody's business and steal all their stuff and light it on fire.
Well, it's also suggesting this is what's happening in America's big cities, and as the song says, try that in a small town.
Yeah, and don't bring it here because I'm going to use my grandpa's gun and take care of things myself. I don't find it offensive at all. I love this song now.
And by the way, so do a lot of other people. All the notoriety has put it at number 1 on iTunes. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
I'm adding it to my iTunes list right now.
Yeah. Have a Modelo and listen to try that in a small town. That's the new way to go. Aldean has responded.
Oh.
In the past 24 hours, I've been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song.
Right, that's what they called it.
And was subject to the comparison that I was not too pleased with the nationwide BLM protests. These references are not only meritless, but dangerous. There's not a single lyric in the song that references race or points to it. There isn't a single clip that isn't real news footage. And while I try and respect others to have their own interpretation of a song with music, this one goes too far. Of course, he's referencing the Las Vegas mass shooting, which is what Sheryl Crow referenced. Try that in a small town for me refers to the feeling of community that I had growing up, where we took care of our neighbors regardless of differences of background or belief, because they were our neighbors and that was above any differences. My political views have never been anything I've hidden from you, or hidden from, and I know that a lot of us in this country don't agree on how we get back to a sense of normalcy, where we go at least a day without a headline that keeps us up at night, but the desire for it to, that's what the song is about. That's a fair explanation. I mean, I know, Aldean is a, conservative guy. So is his wife. Great. Good. And
well, how's the left going to try and cancel him now?
Well, he's probably not cancelable, just like Morgan Wallen wasn't
Not
cancelable.
cancelable. Okay.
But that's not the point. The point is the reaction from those quarters, and it just speaks to a unwillingness to confront reality and a dishonesty about what the reality is. This is, I mean, the images in his video are very similar to commercials I ran.
Yeah, exactly. I was
last
going to say
year.
that. There's a lot of smash and grabs and
not
people
just
attacking people out of the blue for no reason.
Well, and not just, and commercials that were run in New York City, New York State, and the governor's race, and other places too, L.A. and the mayor's race, where violence has spiraled, reminding people what the summer of 2020 was, which was not a summer of joy, despite its advanced billing by Lori Lightfoot, you may recall. And but the reaction is, we don't want to acknowledge the consequences of
our policies.
Yeah, the consequences of what we believe and what we promote and what we advocate and who we elect. We don't want to have to confront those. So instead, we say Jason Aldean's promoting violence, and that's dangerous, and that's mean-spirited, and of course it's racist because he's white. And
he's showing black people, beating up police. But there's also white people beating up cops and stealing stuff. So
it doesn't white, but it doesn't even matter. It's just this is exactly what I've said a million times. We had this discussion with Heather McDonald last hour. Behavior. It's just about behavior, as our friend Charles Thomas says. This is about criminals and victims. Criminals and victims.
Well, according to the Daily Beast, it's also, it's a racist pro-gun song.
Yeah.
Pro-gun, yeah.
It is pro-gun.
Yeah,
It's
good.
it's pro-self-defense. It's not pro-gun saying that criminals and people defending themselves are on equal moral footing. It's saying if you attempt to violate me, I'm going to defend myself, which is a pretty simple concept. But of course, it purposefully evades the comprehension of the left because they're in the boogeyman business, and Jason Aldean is the latest boogeyman. And these honky country music artists, when they're not stealing the valor of Tracy Chapman, they're out promoting vigilantism or something like that. Oh my God! The next thing you're going to do is have somebody feature Daniel Penny in a music video, and then the place will really be up for grabs.
Did any journalists even bother to interview Tracy Chapman or ask her if she's offended
somebody
by
did.
this?
Somebody did. That's how we
found out
that she's over the moon about it. She's very
getting
happy
$500,000
for him.
and more. Yeah.
So Jason Aldean will keep singing. We'll see if he comes north at all. I mean, it's just it's so interesting because this is part of the cold Civil War too. It expresses itself with respect to migration. It expresses itself with respect to, which is sort of implicit in migration, the sort of the political leadership of a state, and the cultural values on a range of political issues, but also on a range of entertainment choices. I'm not going to watch dystopian intersectional Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but I am going to listen to Jason Aldean. I am going to watch Sound of Freedom. I mean, people are looking for content, including leisure content, entertainment, that also, even if it's not completely aligned with their belief system, it is not openly hostile and ridiculing their belief system.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Freedom Square is an unbelievable service designed to unite freedom-loving Americans. I know these guys. They love their country and they're doing an amazing job. You can log on now to create your free personalized dashboard. All of your favorite news sites, podcasters, all on one site, all at your fingertips. Sign up your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with freedom-loving Americans. Look, people want businesses they can support. You want to know the good guys from the bad guys. That's freedomsquare.com. Log on right now and create your personalized dashboard. Join us in the fight, so check it out. freedomsquare.com. Freedom lives here.
Let's welcome our new Freedom Square Business Network members. Lore TV, DS Arms Lake Barrington, Villa Park Office Equipment, and Every Black Life Matters. It's time to unite and vote with your dollars. Download the Freedom Square app and register your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with patriots. Freedom Square. Freedom lives here.
You can shed that fat, be slimmer for the summer. No more wearing cover-ups or T-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. No shots, no hormones, no surgery. You'll lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40-plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work, along with bioenergetic scans, to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose the weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat, not just losing water. And you even get Dr. T's personal email and phone number. Dr. T is Dr. Turovets, the founder of NJ Diet. NJ Diet has locations close by in Skokie and Oak Brook, or is available from home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
Are you a driver of a Ford PowerStroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford PowerStroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford PowerStroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My experience with Zach and Townstone was unbelievable. It was stress-free. That's like unheard of when purchasing a home. He informed me in the very beginning what I should expect, how long the process would ultimately be. He kind of held my hand the whole way. It was seamless. It was effortless. I never felt as though I was going into the next phase of the process blindly. Use Townstone. Ask for Zach Short.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois Mortgage Licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639. Equal Housing Lender.
It's the season of Discovery Sales Event at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. No games, no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time incentives that only come around once a year. You can lease a 2023 Mazda CX-30 for $412 per month, or a 2023 Mazda CX-5 for $410 a month for 36 months with approved credit through Mazda Capital Services for qualified buyers. Just add license, title, tax, and $324.24 doc fee. Plus, stop in today and ask about the all-new 2024 Mazda CX.
Important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Email from a listener about the Northwestern football players that were so traumatized. Just a simple question, simple common sense question. Why'd they stay? Why didn't they transfer?
Or drop out of the program.
Yeah, is being a Northwestern football player, is that a suicide pact? If it was so toxic, if it was so insufferable, leave.
Today, plenty of sunshine, a high of 85 degrees. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Drama on Capitol Hill. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
In my entire life, I have never uttered a phrase that was either racist